Get the Stefan Everts gin out. That helps with pre-match nerves. Ooh. I'll just let social media catch up a little bit. Hello, Phil. How's it going? Good evening. Right, I can see a few of you coming in now. So, evening all. Hey, Andy Hobbs, you can see the t-shirt. You know what time it is. 7 p.m. UK time, baby. Andy Kirker, looking forward to this league. Carl was a local lad for me, a staple of the Cheshire Northwest scene. Cool, mate. Glad you're looking forward to it. There's already a few of you coming on nice and quickly on live, so that's beautiful. So I will get under my thank yous underway. If you didn't know, Lee Ashby here, Motocross and Speedway Memories. Good evening. Thanks for coming on. I can already see 50 of you coming in live already. That's cool. Right, I will get my thank yous underway and then I'll get my guest on. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Lots of pictures, lots of videos, lots of beautiful memories. Right, just get my thank yous out of the way. Big thanks for the support to Simon Pardo of White Eagle Finance. They give quality financial advice for pensions, mortgages, investments and protection. Check out the website at www.whiteeaglefinance.co.uk. You can quote myself or Motocross and Speedway Memories for free advice with Simon. Big thanks to the MX legend Stefan Everts with his S72 gin and vodka brand. Check out his website at www.s72gin.com. There you go, look. I'm actually having a drink tonight with my man. Big thanks to Lee Owen of Owen Developments. They specialise in supplying turbochargers to a global customer base, covering motorsport, performance, aftermarket and OEM sectors. Check out the shop side on www.owenturbos.com, and also you can check out his other website on www.owendevelopments.co.uk. Big thanks to Terry Smith from Swindon with his Terry Smith Painting and Decorating. You can call him on 079 615 37505 for any of your decorating and painting needs. And also big thanks to Craig Triplett of Jardine Conservatories. Check them out on www.jardineintalford.co.uk. Right then, people, I can see plenty of you online now, which is all good. I'm going to get the intros underway, just moving my pages over so I've got that for later on and go into my diary. Got my questions in front of me ready, plenty of them. How's it going? Hello, Spencer Ratcliffe on the limits of YouTube. How's it going? Andy, don't call me baby in public. And Simon Bendon, hey dude, how's it going? Right then, people, I will get the intro going then. Let me find my little video here. Here we go. Don't forget, if you've got earphones in, maybe turn it down, ready for the intro. Don't want to be bursting any eardrums on you or anything. Here we go then. Here we go.
You thought I was playing? Huh.
I'm with the Belfield, aren't I? Here he is. Here's the man, Carl Belfield.
Right, Lee.
How's it going?
I'm nervous, mate. I've been watching all these other interviews and the guys have said they can feel the nerves and I'm like, what they're scared of? It's easy. Frightened to death now.
That's brilliant. Hope you like the little intro there.
Brilliant, mate. Loved it.
Yeah, it looked very cool. I was pleased with that, mate. Good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Just thank you for inviting me on here. You're doing a great job, and I can see, after talking to you for 10 minutes, how much effort you put in behind the scenes. Mate, you've done a really great job, and you reunited us all. All the old rivals, all the riders. I think we've all been loving reminiscing, hearing the stories. Love the Tim Heisman interview, Leon Woodford. I love it all, mate. You're doing a great job. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, mate. It's a pleasure to get you on. Cool to see you. We used to bang bars, obviously, back in the day in the 90s as well. It was always good fun.
Certainly did.
We certainly did.
Was it at Macemore, 1997?
Yes, that's it, mate. Yeah.
We've got some video evidence somewhere.
Yes, I have. I've had someone sorting that out for me, so I should be able to share all that soon. So that'd be cool.
Fantastic. Look forward to that as well.
Yeah, it'd be good, mate. There's a few hellos. Childsy off of his Speedway chat show. Childs is on. How's it going, Shane Childs? Craig Triplett's on. Evening. There's loads of people saying evening. Right then, let's get into some questions. Right then, Carl, what is your earliest memory of motocross and the sport? And what did you first ride? What sort of bike did you first start with?
Oh, my first memory of motocross was just seeing, like any other kid did, a motocross bike. A high mud. I used to call it a high mud guard. Look at that, Dad. High mud guard. High mud guard. I want one of those. And my first bike, I just mithered my dad to death. And I came down one Christmas and I had a Honda QR50. So I was absolutely over the moon. So we spent Christmas Day in our local quarry in the fog, riding up and down all day with Mum and Dad chasing after me. So after that, there was a local motorcycle club in the town in Buxton called Peakdale. And everybody was like, you should get him down there. So I started riding at Peakdale, which is it was an amazing little track. An old guy called Reg Hallam set it up for the locals. Amazing story, actually. He was in a hospital visiting his mum or something, and there was a guy in one of the other wards who had been injured on a road bike, and he wasn't in a good way at all. And Reg decided from that day forth he would set up a club for all the kids to go riding, where you could go hire bikes and everything. It was a lovely thing. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore, but Reg put a lot of effort into it. And I started going down there, and there was a guy called, his surname was Grundy, I can't remember his first name, he was from Peakdale, and he had something to do with Bellevue, and he's like, you need to get him racing. So that was it, we started racing. I had a twin shock, horrible Suzuki RM80 for my first bike. I got on it and the suspension didn't even go down. It chucked me a few times, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, did any of the suspension go down when you got on it?
Probably not even when I was fully grown.
Yeah. So what was that first sort of age then that you sort of like thought, oh, I could race a meeting and that sort of thing?
I was sort of badgered into the race. I just had a total passion and love for motocross bikes. Motocross, I was mad on it. My first race, I think I was 10. I'd like to say I started at 5 riding, but I don't think it was, because I had a number 8 sticker on my first bike, and I was maybe 8 or 10, 8 or 9 or something like that, and then racing at 10. YMSA, Suzuki.
You did that, did you? YMCA.
Love my Suzukis.
So that's YMCA, did you say? What did you do? YMCA?
Motorcycle Sporting Association, I think it used to be. I don't know if they're still around.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I remember that now, yeah. Was that good?
Yeah, it was great. I remember my first race. I was on this twin shock. It was in Wirksworth in Derbyshire. And I'm pretty sure Jamie Breeden was there. And Jamie Breeden was on a Suzuki RM80 and he looked like a pro. He was fast as hell. But I popped out of the start and I was gone in front of everybody. But I panicked halfway down the street and thinking, what am I doing here? And then everybody come past me. But it was just a matter of finishing the races in those early days, because you'd have some mudders, and there was a big hill on the track, and I'd have my dad pushing the bike up for me. So I wasn't even sure to finish the race in the first few. My dad would take it as a big achievement to actually finish the race. So he'd be happy then. I remember him pushing me up this big hill with me crying, covered in mud, and all my blasted in soil and everything. Good days though. Quite tough days, but it was great.
I was going to say, like, I liked a hole shot and did some good hole shots, but holy shit, you definitely hole shotted everything there was to be hole shotted, didn't you? British Championships, the whole works, everywhere.
Yeah. To be honest with you, at the time, it was like almost like a curse to me, because everybody expected me to get the whole shot, and 9 times out of 10 I did. And I didn't realise how special it were. When I look back now, it was just easy for me. It probably helped early on because I was so light, but I think I had a perfect starting technique as well. I can run through that if later. But yeah, I mean, I'd always ride better sometimes if I came through the field and I crashed. I mean, I didn't whole shot every race, but in the early days, it was a pretty good shot. I would. And I had I was thinking about it today, I had a little bit of a technique really. If I got to towards the first corner and I could feel the pack all over me, and I'd know I'd have like a front wheel in front, and I wasn't sure whether I'd get the whole shot or not. So what I'd do, and it worked every time, I'd just hold the power on just that little bit longer, even if it meant scaring myself to death, wondering whether I'd stop for the corner. And 9 times out of 10, I would just feel myself pull out of the pack, so I had daylight on either side of me, and then I'd just concentrate on slotting it around the corner. But obviously, as I got older, got to British Championship level, it was a lot harder to do. It wasn't so much of a regular thing then, but I'd pull a blinder out every now and then. But my dad was a good gardener as well, and he would pack the gate perfectly for me.
Like that.
Yeah, the gate was perfect. He would do everything. He would choose where I wanted to go and everything. Yeah,
really?
He said, "I think we should have you over here today." So my dad was like my right hand man, really.
Nice.
I had a killer reaction, and I would just go into such a zone when the 5-second board came up. I would have my head down before the 5-second board, and I would be focusing on the gate. You see a lot of riders like put the head down at the last minute. I would be head down, plenty of time, the perfect position on the clutch, on the biting point. I'd know my clutch well. And basically, a bomb could have gone off around me and I wouldn't have flinched. I wasn't interested in anybody else. I was in my zone. As soon as that gate moved, I was gone. And you usually knew that you had the whole shot straight away, or you screwed it up, basically. You ruined it. So that's basically it, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've got my brother just come on and put, I remember Carl, nice lad, you had some good battles together. I got Mr. Vizard, Ben Vizard's just come on, he put Hiley and Carl, he was Mr. Whole Shot Canada Heights.
Yeah, I remember Ben very well. I mean, you look back at all the riders from the BSMA and schoolboy days, and the older riders were all like heroes to us, wasn't they? And we all used to wait for everybody's group to go out. You know, the younger guys, the 80s, the 100s would go, and then the seniors, and then you'd go back to the van and get your kit on, and you'd be ready to go. But I remember everybody. Ben Vizard, I remember, was a pretty trick-looking guy, trick bike Honda and everything. Looked cool. Some cool guys around, mate. We were brought up in a great era.
Yeah, it was superb, buddy. Well, I've got a couple of people coming up on here. I've got absolutely loads of questions. 30 odd. I got it jam-packed just to make sure I can cover everything. I've got loads of pictures, maybe including a few hole shots.
I think people are probably bored of my pictures. I think I've loaded Facebook over the last few years. I've got nothing left anymore. It's all scrapes out of my drawer.
I'm going to load them, don't worry. Right, so I got Nick Cleverley. Is that how you put Cleverley?
Cleverley.
Nick Cleverley. I'll get that right because I get ousted out for pronouncing things wrong. There was a story where you got a haircut from a very famous motocross rider in the USA. I think I know this story. Yeah,
you know the story very well. So Nick Cleverley is a good friend of mine, and we've gone to the World Vets together at Farley Castle. which I've been a couple of times now with him and Gaz Bailey. Amazing event. One of the best events I've ever been to. If you've never been there, yeah, there's a picture of the last time I went and watched. Sat on a KX 500, probably
just like
that. So yeah, obviously I went out to America. I got invited to a party basically, so I went on a little 2-week fly drive, and I went in and checked. I went to Mike Healy's house, and because obviously he's a barber now, and I went and had my hair cut. And just what an amazing experience. And he invited me up to Glen Helen with him. He says, "What are you doing for the rest of the day? Would you want to come to Glen Helen with me?" I'm like, "Sure." So I had a hire car. I had a 500 brake horsepower Mustang. And
wow.
Mike says, "I think it'll be easier for me to drive it because I know where I'm going." So I think it frightened me to death going up the freeway, to be fair. But I don't know if this is even legal. He was just an extremely talented guy, even with his driving ability in a car. You know, you could tell the guy had quality. But when we got on the road going into Glen Helen, and he noticed one of the guys that he was training there at the track, and he sort of smoked out the rear tyres on this Mustang on my hire car. Like,
no.
Mike, you're going to have to stop that. You're going to have to stop that. You know, it's going to be me paying for those. So I had a day at Glen Helen with a guy, and we stayed in touch, become pretty good friends. He's a really, really approachable guy. And I've said he can, you know, I'm a hairdresser nowadays, and I've said he's welcome to come over here and do a motocross haircutting week or something. But he'd need to get his travel arrangements sorted out. But everybody's desperate for Mike to come over to the Farley Castle vets and everything as well. He's just a legend. We all looked up to him. He was one of the cool Americans with the blonde hair and the high elbows and ridiculously stylish riding style. And on the KTM at the time in the 99, he was as cool as mustard, wasn't he? I think we always. But I mean, anybody can do what I did. You can look him up on Instagram on Healy Barbershop. You give him a message, and if you're over there, go and get your hair cut. It's absolutely worth it. Just to talk motocross. Some of his stories were just outstanding about the days when he was hanging around with John Michelle Bale, and they would go to this what track was it? They went to a go-kart track one day on motocross bikes with knobblies on. And I think Bale broke the track record. They saw it as a good training technique, you know, for the motocross as well. Just amazing guy. I was rushing, you know. I didn't want to come home from that one.
No, I bet. Because I actually remember speaking to Mike, and then he was sort of saying about someone offered him to come over to the UK. So what was the chances of me talking to him about that? And then all of a sudden he said about like doing the barber and all that. And then I said, "Oh, I know lad I used to race with," and then I obviously mentioned your name, and he went, "Yeah, that's the guy." I'm like, "Hey!"
Yeah, I was watching. I was pretty sure.
Unbelievable.
But it's just weird to have like Mike Healy's phone number in your phone and your text. You know, we kept in touch well. We've broken contact a little bit recently, but I'm sure if I was to ever go over again, we'll be definitely meeting up. I think he'd be angry if he didn't. He'd be really angry. You know, I think he's got a lot of time for his fans, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Really cool. I'll hopefully get him on again as well. That'd be cool. I'll tell you what, if I get Mike Healy on live again, I'll have to bring you into the screen.
Yeah, bring me in.
Yeah, bring you in.
How's that there?
Yeah, exactly that. Right, I've got Ken Winstanley here, another legend in motocross, his boy as well. I know he's running his motocross track now as well. He's put, "Hi Lee, Carl was the whole shot king. Me and my family have great memories of the Belfield family. Travels all around the country. We made great memories and a few scoops at the end of the day."
Ken, what a guy. Ken's a living legend of motocross. I think we all know who Ken Winstanley is, don't we? Mm-hmm. And obviously back in the day, there was Matt riding. Obviously Matt Winstanley, he went on to big things, didn't he, on the Supermoto?
Yeah, very cool.
Matt was very small like myself, and obviously I followed his career right from the autos because I was in the higher groups. Me and my dad would always go and watch Matt and cheer him on, and my dad used to get overly excited when Matt was out on the track, you know, on the KX60, and my dad used to call Matt Winstanley Win, look, come on, Carl, come on, wins out. Look, wins just win this, win that. And then obviously there will be lots of drinks the night before with Ken and his wife. And obviously Matthew had his sister, Michaela. I know them all very fondly. And Ken's one of those guys that is very funny, very good at telling a story. He used to have me in absolute stitches. And, add that to his little Wigan accent. Always calls me. I remember there was a time he was telling me he had gone teetotal from the alcohol. And he was like, I've gone teetotal now, Carl. It always sticks in my mind. But his stories were absolutely priceless. Yeah, very great, dear friends. And, Ken's got the track at Abram as well, near Wigan. And I did do some riding a couple of years ago and went to Abram. And it's a really lovely, great track. He's a stalwart of the sport. He's done a great job of the sport. He keeps the local community happy. The track's perfect. It's a great track if you're it's a good track for developing some pro skills, but I think it's a great track if you've been out for a while and to go back and get the feel of things again. It's well prepared. It's got good jumps on. Matt knows his racing, so he makes the jumps and things. I just probably wish I'd spent more time on a track like that, because obviously I made a comeback in 2019 that didn't end well. So yeah, I would start again with somewhere like Ken's place at Abram.
Okay, there you go, Ken. A nice little plug on the track for you as well, buddy, from our man here. That's cool. If anyone wants to check that out, you can see that on Facebook as well, I believe. You got Mike Turner here. He's put, Carl gets his speed from his dad. He drove the motor home so fast, he was holding on tight at the back.
So Mike's a dear friend of mine. Grew up together in the local sleepy town of Buxton. Harper Hill lads. He was a great guy, very passionate about motocross. His dad had a helicopter license and used to take him to Namur every year to watch the GP, something I never did. Wow. But all the local lads used to come racing with me, and my dad used to frighten everybody to death. A lot of people wouldn't even ride in the front. They'd have to go in the back where they couldn't see and go to sleep basically for the trip because they couldn't bear it. And because my dad knew this, he used to play up a little bit to it as well. I got a message from one of my other friends. I've got a good friend called Mark Rowe, and he says, you've got to tell them about your dad's driving, because there was a time when Mark had come with me to watch a race, and he had a broken leg, and he's got a full-length cast on, and he's got his leg on the dashboard on the pillow in the front of our truck, and my dad's steaming along, and I just remember Mark's face being white. And this car went to do a U-turn in the road, and my dad never slowed down and nearly just skimmed past him, and that were it. I don't think he ever wanted to come with us again after that. I've seen him overtake boy racers in the truck on these A roads and everything. It was a white knuckle ride. My mum just used to, I think, needed a drink before we even got to the track.
He was never late for meetings then.
Oh no, there was stuff going all over the place most of the time. So I just used to try and go in the back myself and get some sleep on a long trip down south, like to Kent or somewhere. Go to sleep in the back of the truck, get out of the way. That's where we used to go, and we used to chill out in the back because, like I say, it was a white knuckle ride. Really were. It was mental.
That's brilliant.
We was coming back from Hawkston Park one night. Never really did very well at Hawkston Park, and one of the local lads, one of my friends, was following us and basically following us closely home. And one of the air pipes split on the back of the truck, and we went into Leek in Staffordshire, sideways down the hill, heading towards this car coming the other way. And it just adds to my dad's legacy, really. It was a whack ride. So funny. They were precious times, though. Amazing.
That's brilliant. You've got some cool memories of that then. Right, I've got Spencer Ratcliffe here on YouTube from On The Limits by the looks of it. He's put, what did you prefer riding, up north or down south?
It didn't really matter, to be fair. It was, if you got a track that you liked, it was either a good or a bad track, and that was it. I do think back in them days, don't know what it's like now, we were considered northerners, and there was a bit of a north and a south divide, but nobody was unfriendly with each other. But I think us guys from the Midlands and that sort of connected with the Scottish more. We never saw the Scottish as foreigners. I think we were just all Northerners. But some of my favourite tracks were definitely down south. I loved going down south. Different world. Obviously, it was always warmer. The riders are a bit more. The riders, there was a bit of a gap. I didn't know them as well, probably, to be fair. But there was some amazing tracks down there, like Canada Heights and Chippenham. So yeah, I always love going. I love going down south. It is amazing. And thanks for the question.
There is. I put got Ben Vizard just come back on and put, Carl, what was your best bike in the schoolboys?
Ooh. Well, I was Suzuki mad. I was absolutely Suzuki mad. And then in them days, everybody had KX100s, didn't they? There was the 100 class, and it was just all Kawasaki's.
Yep.
So in 1990, the first Kawasaki 100 I got, I was too small for it. It used to vibrate. I hated it. So I went and got back on a Suzuki 80 and got blown away in the Nationals. So, yeah, that's the 91 bike there. Mm-hmm. And then I got a 1990. We went and bought one from John Banks Racing, 1990 KX100. And what a bike that were. It was one of those rare bikes that was just super fast. The 91 came along with it. It had a bit of a different frame and a different shape. It was probably a bit more of a comfortable bike, but it wasn't anything like the Motorrad on that 1990 KX100. I think the next guy that bought it off me, he got an immaculate bike and he took it home and he thought he'd try it out up the road, and it flipped him off the back and he ripped the subframe off it, I think, on his first ever go. It was just so fast. It's a great bike. I probably have to say that one then in schoolboy days, barring the 125s. You know, I like my Suzukis.
Nice. Right, I got Gaz Bailey. How's it going, Gaz? He's put top rider, Carl. I remember first seeing him in 94-ish at an AMCA meeting. Turned up a young lad riding on an RM125, and he was 3/4 of a lap gone in the expert 125 races. Nobody knew who he was or where he'd come from. It was nice to share the track with him a few years later. You knew when you seen him in the paddock, you'd had your work cut out trying to catch him and race with him.
So Gaz has become a very good friend nowadays. He's an absolutely impeccable guy. We've gone as old men to the practice track together to try and find some old glory. But there was a spell, obviously, I was an ACU rider through and YMSA, BSMA, and then ACU. But I wasn't really an AMCA rider. The AMCA wasn't quite as big in them days or as professional as it is now. It's a really legitimate championship in its own right. I'm not knocking it. They've always been some amazing natural track riders there. But obviously there was the AMCA guys, and they didn't know who I were. And I just did a few AMCA meetings as schoolboy. And obviously I went in with a point to prove. Very wild riding. Probably didn't win them all. Probably ended up on the ground a lot of the time, trying to show how fast they were. But there was a couple of great tracks that I went to, and I didn't have an easy run with them, but I enjoyed it. And obviously, one of my childhood friends from my local village was Chris Sparks, and then there was Chris Brightmore down the road, and my friend in Whaley Bridge, Anthony Healy. They were all AMCA riders, so it was good to go and mix with them, but I enjoyed that. Probably did 3 or 4 meetings on a day licence. The last time I went to Eldon Hill in '99 when I was at the height of my game, and I just had a nice free wins. But it was just nice to ride at my local track, Eldon Hill, where a lot of the sidecars have raced over the years. A very rough, rocky track.
Nice. I got there's no name on this one, but the next comment says it potentially might be Ash Jenkins. So. The sad thing was when they shut Peakdale Motorbike Club, Reg died not long after it shut. Top bloke Carl is. So I'm presuming that's Ash Jenkins.
If whoever it is, that's a nice question. But I remember Ashley Jenkins very well, and he was a super fast rider. When I first went 125 at the club meetings around Worldly Wasps and everything, he was the man to beat.
Okay.
He was a great rider. He was super quick. But the Peakdale thing it's a really travesty that it went away, because it was a great opportunity. If you was a kid wanting to get on a bike, you could go and hire one. And Reg put his heart and soul into it, but obviously he's no longer with us anymore. The they got lottery funding, and they had a big like cafe put there and offices and everything, and it was a really friendly family atmosphere. And they actually produced some good riders. Some good riders come out of Peakdale, and it was really sad that it went. I was going to say something then, but it's gone out of my head. But the quarry people, the landlords, took it back off them because they wanted to do something with it, and then nothing's been done with it, so it's just wasted land now. It's just very sad.
That's a bummer. I've got Anthony Hodkinson here. He's put very fond memories of Carl and his family. Been all over the country and some very happy memories.
Oh, Anthony's a very good friend. Back, one of the clubs that I used to ride, Newton the Willows, one of my favourite tracks, Bleak Hall. Anthony spent a lot of time racing around there as well. Newton the Willows Club. I've been to his house. His dad was a great guy, Alan. Know his mum very well, his brother Nick, the full family, sister, lovely family. And we did some road trips together, going to Holland to internationals and things. He had a friend called Scott McKenna who had a big converted bus, and we'd go in convoy down the motorway, and we'd all be in the bus at the back because it was just a pure big bed for us to all muck around on. It was just amazing days going to we went on the ferry to Amsterdam, and I've never witnessed anything like it. Everybody ended up in the nightclub, but me being the consummate professional, I ended up shying away and disappearing because a couple of bodies were starting to hang off the side of the ferry in the middle of the night, and at that point I thought, I'm turning in now. Frightening me to death. Some guy was on the rail outside of the ferry. All the riders had been in the nightclub, all schoolboys. So I thought, right, I'm going back to my cabin. I was very serious about my racing, but so was Anthony. He was a great rider, a great jumper. We went on a Harry Everett's training school for a week with him, and it was an amazing experience. Went round some of Stefan's private tracks and that. Harry took us around. It was great.
Wow, that was pretty cool then. Cool. I got Davey War here. He's put, Carl was my first motocross hero and first pro I ever saw ride in person at Peakdale. Great memories of him flat out on the rock hard dusty track.
Yeah, Davey War was a great rider. When I was like at the height of my game, he was probably in the 60 coming up at Peakdale. And he developed his own career, and he went on to ride AMCA British Championships, everything. And one of the most stylish riders you'll ever look at. Really nice flowing style, all the nice kit, trip bikes, no nonsense. He's like, he knows what's cool out of motocross. He's a really cool guy. Rides BMX, very good on a BMX, very talented lad. Yeah, it was a privilege to have spent time around such people. There's some good riders come out of Peakdale. Very good.
Thanks for everyone joining us tonight. We've already been over 100 a couple of times on the live as well, which is the same as Roger DaCosta. So,
wow! I thought no one would be interested.
There we go. He's got, isn't one of the boys, Matty Naums here. He's put, "Hi Carl, we had many battles at the Nationals. Great rider. How's it going, Matty?"
Yeah, thanks for the comment, Matthew. Wow, we all know what Matthew Nelms was. It was a hell of a rider, wasn't he?
I thought I was going to say arsehole then for a minute.
He's a powerhouse rider, and
yeah, he was very good.
And most of the times with me, really. I mean, I think the underdog to him. He was a great rider, and get on these natural tracks like not Macemore's, the other one, Church Lench. You'd be in for your backside handed to you, to be fair. But yeah, he's obviously, I think he's a butcher now, isn't he? Or something. His family's got butcher's shop.
Yeah, I've seen him.
He's a nice guy as well. Really nice to hear from him.
Yeah, I'd like to get him on as well. Actually, that'd be cool to get you on, mate. You'd have to come on.
He looked trick as well on the Kawasaki and everything.
Yeah, he's not forgiven me yet, Carl, about 98 finals where I won by 2 points over him.
Oh, no. 2 points.
I know, that was bad.
It's good that you won that. You got your name on that silverware.
Exactly, mate. It was not easy. I think Radford was third. It was pretty stacked still then.
Another good one, wasn't he? He was another nice guy as well.
Have to get him on as well. John Radford would be cool. Good to see you on, Matty. Anyway, we'll have to get you on, mate. That'd be really cool if you can. Sam Goddard has put Mr. YZ, King of the Peakdale.
Yeah, Sam Goddard. they used to, him and Davey used to work at 111 Motocross at Altrincham back in the day. I think they were all living the dream, working in a motocross shop, all major motocross fans. Obviously, Peakdale was a Wednesday night track, little track, but a lot of fun. And I'd go out, and I think everybody would go on the same track at the same time because it was different in them days. You know, you could turn up a practice track, pay £5, and you could go out all day as much as you wanted. Now,
sessions and that, yeah.
People there, everything's so changed. But there were so many times when I had a big crash there on like an opening lap or something, and I'd have to go back and broke something on the bike, and my dad would like be ready to kill me. I've gone for a little stroll around the track, and I've come back with a radiator peeled off the bike. I knocked one of my mates off there one day and dragged him over the tyres, Phil Sellers as well.
Did you?
Put him on the city for a couple of nights with a very badly twisted knee. I jumped off one of the drop-offs, and he turned left on me, and I just took him with me.
Is that what they mean by the King of Peakdale?
Yeah, that was the title. If you was a good rider or whatever, or you were giving it the big licks at time, I think you'd be considered the King of Peakdale.
Yeah.
An insult or a compliment.
That's good.
But yeah, it's missed by all. It's just such a great community thing, and so many people Reg did it because he wanted to keep people off the streets, basically.
I got Luke Meredith here. I believe I took some photos of him at the AMCA. He was a very good rider. I remember watching a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's still riding in the AMCA. He's put, is it true that Cole still holds the record for being the fastest person under 4 foot?
I used to be, but now I'm 4.5 foot. I don't think I'm in that category anymore, Luke. He's a great guy, another local lad. He's probably one of the fastest guys around Buxton nowadays. Great rider, good laugh. He's a really light-hearted guy, and he hasn't got a lot of fear in him when it comes to joking around and things. The guy's a fearless dude, and he's a great rider. But you can't have a serious conversation with someone like that because you just have the mickey taken out of you. I've had it for years.
Hence the comment.
Yeah.
Right. Who else was it? Yeah. I don't know who this was. They didn't register their name, but I was talking to Cole's dad just before Christmas. We were talking about Cole's career, and he was saying how proud he was of Cole's career in motocross.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the motocross is a huge part of my life. I was out and out a motocross rider. It was my passion. It was my love. And obviously I started the speedway later, and it's where the wheels come off my racing career, really, to be fair. But my dad was the guy that, like we all know about our dads and our families for schoolboy motocross. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have done it. They made it easy. We don't realise until now what effort they put in and how much money they put in and everything. But I would get a telling off. My dad would be happy if I'd tried, but if I didn't try, it didn't matter where I finished, as long as I tried. But if I hadn't tried, I'd go and hide in the bed in the back of the van and pretend I was asleep because I'd just get told off all the way home. But on the days when I'd done good, he'd be singing all week. It definitely put him in a great mood when we had a good result. It's team sport, isn't it, motocross? You know that from your dad. Yeah. Amazing. Can't take that away.
No, special with the dads, that's for sure, 100%. Nick has put, if you had your time again, would you ride any AMA Supercross as you did a few UK Supercross rounds? I also know you did the Dutch, didn't you? That I might have a video of that in a bit.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Supercross was my thing. As far as AMA Supercross, I'm not quite sure about that. It was difficult being brought up in this country because there was no jumps. There was nowhere to practice. I used to go in my local quarry and try and find something to jump. I was just crying out. I mean, I was quite a good natural track rider, but I like my man-made tracks. But, and I was into all the tricks when the freestyle thing come on, but I couldn't find anywhere to practice. So when I went out to the States and went to these other tracks, it was all such a learning curve. But when we went out to the Winter Olympics, the Mini O's in 1996, we got a bike from Cycle World Yamaha in Florida. and it was my old sponsor, Walter Ainsworth from ATM Engineering Yamaha. Walter was an amazing guy. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but he was responsible for a lot of the amazing things that happened in my life and my career with racing. And I was a bit of a mummy's boy, you know, a bit of I was like your stereotypical schoolboy motocross kid, and needed to be tested a little bit more, really. I think I had it too easy. I went out to the States and I did okay, and the shop offered to keep me on. They said he can stay here, we'll provide him with a bike, we'll provide him with accommodation, and he can race over here. And that's maybe what I'd have done different, but I don't think I was ready for it. I wasn't strong enough as a person. And I'm like, oh no, don't leave me here, don't leave me here, I want to come home. I was doing college at the time, and probably more interested in the girls at college, but probably it was just a different ball game over there. Probably the gap has reduced a little bit now, but back then you went over there as a British rider and they were doing things that you wouldn't think was possible. And, you know, like takeoff ramps on Supercross tracks were like vertical walls. You know, the tracks were probably even more brutal then. But yes, it would have been an amazing experience to do an AMA Supercross. But I think I'd have needed a little bit more nurturing for that, for sure. But I was comfortable in the air, definitely. It was my thing.
Yeah, I knew you liked the Supercross and the jumps, that's for sure. Did you enjoy that experience over there then?
Oh yeah, it was a week of riding each time. It was motocross, it was Supercross, it was an event called the TT, which was like a bit of a sprint, shorter track with some like jumps on and things, but a non-technical Supercross track really. And then there was an enduro at the end of the week, and we raced every day. It was a bit long-winded in between the races. You know, you'd go out, you'd get cold. And then because I like to be warm, I like to be hitting the races, but you'd have to wait a long time. But it was an amazing experience, and you know, I saw a lot of the future talent over there at the time. It was remarkable. I mean, I saw Bubba Stewart on a KX60, and he had the same style on a KX60 as what he had in the height of his career. Just all knees and elbows and pushing the bike down and scrubbing over things. Just saw Carmichael was ridiculously fast back then in the hundreds. But it was just such an amazing what was expected from us. I mean, I went fresh from BSMA, and I went into the pro class. I never shied away. I didn't go for the results. I'd always go for the experience. And I went in the pro class, and Ryan Vose was there. And Ryan Vose was just a little bit younger than me at the time. So he was in the next group down with Ernesto Fonseca and everybody.
Was he?
And I was like with Nick Way, and I think Shea Bentley was in the class below, Casey Lytle and people like that, Robbie Reynard, pretty amazing. And I was walking the track with Ryan, and he said, you know, what do you think they will do here? And there was like 3 single jumps, and I'm like, well, they'll single. And he's like, no, they don't. They hit the second one so hard, they'll bounce over the third. And I'm like, wow. But I did actually manage to do that, you know. I had to do it because I was in the pro class. I was going to have someone to land on my head. But then the other one that I didn't do was a tabletop and like 3 singles, right down the straight. And he's like, what do you think they'll do here in your group? He was trying to wind me up, I think, well, they'll tabletop, double and jump out. He's like, no, they'll jump off this tabletop and down into them. I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? And then I just saw some brutal crashes of people getting it wrong. And it was all, everybody, the body English from the Americans was crazy in them days. Everybody was like pulling the bike up, pushing it down, just constantly working the bike. So it was a great experience over there. I mean, Ricky Priest was out there, and I think a few of the other Brits went over. I know Stuart Flockhart's been over in the past, but not when I was over there. Got actually interviewed by ESPN by Larry Myers as well as the British. Yeah, I was like a rabbit in the headlights. I didn't know what to say. But yeah, it was,
very cool.
My best experience was on the TT, and the track. It rained the night before, and the track was tacky, and it was right up my street. And my mum was there with the video camera, and I beat Robbie Reynard. Now, I would have never beat Reynard on the motocross or the Supercross. It was a short race, granted, but I'm like, I beat him, that'll do. I know it was only a short race.
Take that, mate, take that all day.
To watch the video, Mum, I beat Reynard. she'd only filmed the floor all the way around with the bottom of the wheel. She hadn't even got it on. She'd not even captured it. I'm like,
oh my God.
Put the VHS tape up so you could see it on the screen.
was it her that got some of the footage that they're going to show in a bit of the Supercross in the Dutch
Probably.
Supercross?
Everybody hated camera duty.
Sheffield, yeah.
It was my friend from Whaley Bridge, the AMC rider, Anthony Healy, did the Sheffield footage. He went down a few days before. We lived like pro riders. It was great. We were the first truck there. It was like Supercross was my thing. That's what I wanted to do. I could jump. I considered myself one of the stronger jumpers in this country, and that might sound. That was my belief and my ability. I wasn't the best by no means. There was some wonder talents at jumping. And most of us were good at jumping, man, but there was the likes of Ricky Priest. My God, he was a jumper. He was on another level. Obviously, he jumped the Mace-Moore Bomber, which, my God. I heard about that, And then the other jumper I'd rate very highly was Kelly Swanson. I think he's a really amazingly talented guy. But in my own little world, I put myself up there at jumping, and I was looking forward to it, the Supercross. And I was prepared because I'd been to the Goose Supercross in Holland on 2 or 3 occasions, and I was pretty good in the whoops and that, but I just had nowhere to practice. But McGrath and the Americans were coming, and that were it. We were living like rock stars for that weekend. We were one of the crowd.
That's brilliant.
That opening night when the dim the lights in the stadium, because it was the first ever major UK Supercross for years, since obviously the Bellevue days, and the dim the lights, and McGrath, Ward and Bradshaw went out for a parade lap, and it was the atmosphere in there was just, everybody was buzzing. The crowd, there was capacity, and the atmosphere was just unreal. It's like, let's go racing. And it was only half an hour, 45 minutes from home as well, so we just nipped home at the end of the night. It was great.
How cool though was that to actually be on the track when you did a bit of practice, and then obviously McGrath come out and did some practice as well at the same time? That must have been pretty amazing. I probably didn't think so much of it at the time, did you? Or?
No, it's like I went out there was the British and there was international class, and it was really difficult to get any practice time on the track. It was so sparse, and it probably still is nowadays. And you obviously wanted to be on the track as much as possible. We had the fitness for it, but the whoops were so big that and the triple was so big. It was like, oh my God, the triple was, the 125s couldn't jump it, and I thought, you're going to the hospital if you're gonna. I just couldn't push myself to do it. But I managed. I don't know how we did it, but we managed to sneak out in another practice, and they ended up out with the 250s. And then obviously McGrath rolls up, and I'm like, oh man, this is it. So I didn't think about it. I was just concentrating on my own little world, working the track as much as I could. And McGrath and Ward were going at it. But they did things the Brits couldn't do back then, I mean, Robbie Harrington was there. He was an amazing hero of man, amazing Supercross rider. But they were all just on another level that night. And there was like a rhythm section down the middle, like a load of it was double, double, double. But the Americans, I think, were triple doubling in. But this triple out of this corner was just insane, amazing. Ward, I think, obviously Ward won on the night, but he were just busting that triple all night. It was like, that is ridiculous. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. But I just wish I could have done more of it, because the Supercross came along in this country, and it was after my time. I did the Sheffield every year, and I did the MEN Supercross. But I could beat the guys that went on to become champions in Supercross in this country and so on. I could beat them on the early days, or at least run with them. I was strong at Supercross, probably more so than outdoors.
I think what I'll do is I'll drop this bit of footage now while we've just been having that chat about that. So this footage should be, it's basically Carl doing some laps in practice at the Sheffield Supercross. 97, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, 97, the first one, 97.
97, and then all of a sudden you hear the crowd in the practice give a bit of a ooh on an R when McGrath just announces himself by banging out the triple.
Yeah, I think the first time he jumped it was a big one for him to have a bit of a heavy landing.
So here we go. Hopefully you can get this on this video now then. That's pretty cool. Sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I took some time out, obviously, from I went and got a job and I worked away for a while. And when I tried to run away from motocross at the end, and when I quit and everything, but then I went back to the arena crosses, and I couldn't believe how sort of diluted down the tracks were, but because they were brutal back then. But I'm not disrespecting the riders. They're modern day arena cross riders are animals. My God, I wouldn't like to go up against them. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's pretty hairy, wasn't it? Some of the ones I've seen on there. Right, there's a few hellos here, so I'll get them out. George Holland, he's a friend, is a deaf chap I know at Manchester Way. Just give him a wave there because I've sorted him out with subtitles now, so we're all good. And George can see all the interviews, so he's happy with that.
Have you got subtitles for a Derbyshire accent?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll be able to understand Carl's sweet now. Johnny Broomfield there's I'd like to think that was one of them, not a fingers thing. Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's one of them. So that's all good from Johnny Broomfield there. Got Nicholas Nardine here as well. Let's give it a hi, Carl.
Nick.
What else?
One of the guys I used to work with got my coach license and went off. Thought I'd go and see the world at the end of the racing career, and drove for a local company. And Nick was one of the mechanics at the garage. Very amazing mechanic, and loves his bikes too. And they sort of give me the springboard because I went on to drive Rockstar tour buses for a few years after that. So it sort of gave me that little bit of springboard. But they were a great family company that I worked for. And Nick and Nev, as we called him, was one of the good mechanics there. You could always trust him.
Got Gaz Brooks here. He's put, I used to love riding with Carl at Peakdale, or should I say trying to keep up. I think everyone came off the track when Carl showed up just to watch him, laugh out loud. Memories of him wheeling the tabletop and clearing it like he was jumping off a curb on a BMX.
Yeah, I think when I know Gaz well, he's a local lad, he's a good lad. I think we all us motocross riders, speedway riders, I think we all like to show off a little bit. And when you can see a crowd gathering, it does bring a little bit of extra speed out of you, doesn't it? That holds on that little bit longer. So yeah, but I mean, there wasn't many of us around back then. There was. If I went to Peakdale on the odd night, I'd probably be the only. Not everybody would turn up. So like now, everybody's riding. It's like everybody does motocross in your local town or whatever. But back then, there was spells when it was kind of just me really. And obviously Chris that used to run the track, and he used to run it as well, so he didn't always get out on the track. But yeah, I'd like to show off. I'd like to do some knack-knacks, and I crashed a few times, like trying to do some knack-knacks around there, because there was not much airtime. But so I was like, oh no, Dad, better straighten the back.
Yeah, Dad. Got Simon Povey here on Facebook. He's put, I remember leaving him in a ditch at probably about 10 years old when he fell off and pushed his bike back to his dad's garage.
We had some crazy days when you think of the things that I used to do. Like I say, I used to line up all my friends in the local quarry. We used to like jump over the heads and everything. So I think if the parents down at home saw what was really going on, it was like absolutely crazy. Especially around that. This was around the BSMA era. Like everyone would follow me into the quarry, and I'd line them all up and jump over them. And it would end ugly sometimes.
That's brilliant. We've got Alex Nichols has put evening Carl Belfield.
Alex is a legend. Spent some time on the track with Alex in recent years. Local lad from Macclesfield. Big motocross fan. There's not a lot he doesn't know about motocross. And we was talking recently about the Ling GP, 125 GP, that I never actually went to in, I think it was 94 or something like that maybe. But I'd love to have gone and watched the GP around Ling. It's a great track. Obviously, some of my pictures are from around there later on.
I know there was a lot of, I like to call them all Welsh wizards, all the Welsh. There were so many Welsh guys we always used to race with. Here's a bit of a legend. Has come on, Mr. Mark Jones. He's put, loving the interview so far, Carl. I don't think I ever beat you out of the gate back in the day.
Mark was another one of those, like, sort of Matthew Nelson sort of characters, wasn't he? Just a really solid rider. He looked like the total pro. You know, if you saw him in the pits, he'd look like an athlete, even at a young age. You know he's going to go far. And obviously he was in the younger group to me in the seniors. But he was just a nice guy, and obviously he was in Saudi's class, and it was just a great class to watch because they were obviously up and coming. My biggest memory of Mark was Chippenham. Well, not my biggest memory of him, but a BSMA final. I think you've talked about this before in '97 at Chippenham, and Mark Jones and Tim Heisman went to the final race joint on points, but it actually wasn't the two of them; it was the three of us. It was me as well. Yeah. So I'd gone out in the first race, and I'd ran a 10th, and the pack was so fast that day, as we've talked about before. I was pushing as hard as I could when the track wasn't rough. I couldn't get in the top 10. Then the next race, I dropped the switch on the start and I won it. And I think over the course of the weekend, I managed to sneak 2 wins in. But to be fair, I'll be honest, I wasn't quite as good as Mark Jones and Tim Heisman. I had to put everything I had to try and win those races. But it put us all joint in points in the last race. And I took one of my mates from home with me, and he didn't speak to me all the way back because I finished third. But I had nothing left in the can, and the two of them floated past me in the last race, and that were it. But, you know, I was happy with third. Mark went on to an amazing career. He's a really gentleman. You know, obviously some riders can get affected, but Mark's as good as it gets, really, so it's nice to hear from him.
Yeah, I think I loved that. I used to have some battles with him in the hundreds. I think I was there that weekend. I think it was 96. I think it was.
Ooh, probably.
Yeah, I think it was 96. I think I was about 5th or 6th overall that one. I think I was about 5th or 6th. Not quite in the running with you.
What a track at Chippenham. What memories.
I loved it in practice. I liked it in practice when it was smooth.
When the lines would start cutting into those switchbacks around the finish line area. It got bumpy around there, didn't it? Wow.
Yeah, it got bumpy, yeah.
It was always hot as well. Red hot.
Yeah, it always seemed to be, didn't it? Not a good combo. But yeah, Mark, proper legend. I'd love to get Mark on for a live as well. He did one of my original videos when the guys used to video themselves right at the start. He was one of my first ever ones, so that'd be cool to get him on for a live. Yeah, I'd be interested in that one. Good to see you, Mark. Absolute ledge.
I sort of lost whack at the craze a little bit when I quit and moved on, you know, and then suddenly I come back and you've seen that the guys from the schoolboy days are in the GPs and that. It was amazing to see.
Yeah. I was probably more proud of Mark than he probably was himself, being Stefan Evans' teammate. I was like, bloody hell, I used to race with him in the hundreds.
So one of my friends was telling me the other day, I don't know how true this is, but allegedly Mark led the British GP at Fox Hills.
Yeah, I was there. I saw that, yeah.
And did he go a stinker or something? I was told about it. Went over the bars at one of the step-ups or something spectacular.
Yeah, I remember that.
Kicked himself for that one. But
yeah, definitely.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Not many people do that, so fair play to him.
That's a whole shot to beat Mark. I didn't have one of them.
Exactly that. Gaz Brooks he used to stand on a stall to get over on his 125.
Yeah, my dad used to have some blocks on the start for me as well. I couldn't put
that fashion. You start that fashion. They're all doing it now.
You couldn't put both feet down, not a chance. I'd have to run along to get on the bike as well with a bike, push it along, and then cut my leg over it.
This is a good question that I did have down as well, Carl. Phil Elkin has put, how did the switch come about to Speedway, mate?
Nice to see you, Phil. Well, to be honest with you, it's a bit of a difficult time for me, really. It's 2001. I'd had a great 2000 in the 4-stroke on the 426 Yamaha. I went up out of the 125 class and did the Supercross and the British 4-stroke championship as it was back then. Yeah. And I had a great year until I broke my collarbone at the end of the year. I was fast. Got very good on the hard pack that year. And then the mad cow crisis thing took over in 2001, and everybody were put on a bit of a situation like now where nobody could go riding. And I trained for so long, and I was motivated to do well. But as the weeks ticked by, I thought this season's not happening, and I sort of backed off. And then next minute, we were racing again, and I wasn't ready. And it was just a disastrous end to the year, really. And there was problems going on in my family at the time, which was a big turning point in my racing career, really, with my mum and dad and everything, because they were my team. We went away together. and my mum and dad broke up, which had a major impact on me. So my race team disintegrated sort of overnight. And I wasn't making any money out of, obviously, like we did out of motocross. It was all payout. And I had a good friend in the local town called Adam Allett, whose granddad was Guy Allett, who Guy was the tuner for Ivan Major. Well, his engine builder, he won 5 world titles out of that little shop in Buxton. And I think maybe, was it Ollie Olsen or Hans Nielsen? Don't quote me on that. But he had another world champion in his stable as well. So they were like, you should come and give Speedway a go. You can make a living, in the Premier League at Speedway. It was good money. So I decided, the family sort of broke up and I was ready to sort of go it alone, really. I was ready for a new challenge. And I was a little bit burnt out with the motocross, racing every single weekend, sometimes 3 weekends since I was 10. And I'd had a few little croppers where I'd broken collarbones and it just wasn't working out. So I thought, we'll give the Speedway a go. Adam says, come up, ride one of my bikes up at High Edge Raceway. And I had a rude awakening, Lee, I tell you. I thought I was going to go around that track flat out and it was going to be easy. I couldn't even skid the bike. I ended up crashing. I lost the front wheel on a Speedway bike and ended up on the ground. And then I was kind of hooked, right, I've got to prove myself with this bike. But then as I learned later, and it makes me chuckle a little bit, really, because Adam's gearing was a Premier League rider's gearing and Buxton was a really difficult track. And I think his dad, Nicky, probably thought, we'll test him here. We'll test him here. I was had a big cog on when I was at Buxton, even when I was racing. It reminded me of the story of Kurt Nichol giving the old dog of a Kawasaki to Dave Fort. I reckon Adam gave me a dodgy gearing setup that day, but I planted my face down the track anyway. But I wanted to do well, and I got going pretty quick, to be fair with it, pretty good.
How did that, so you obviously rode for the Buxton Hitmen, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was full. My life started to unravel a little bit at that time, really. It was a difficult time for me. It was a transition from everything that I'd known and who I was as a motocross rider. And I still felt like a motocross rider on a Speedway bike, but I wanted to try and make a living out of racing. I didn't want to go back to a dead-end job or whatever. And I was just motivated, and I had my sort of dad on my side. But like I say, there's a lot of changes started happening in my life. But that first season, I was full of confidence. I was fiery, and I started to bust out some good scores and got attention from Premier League managers and things. And I got some really big scores. And I had a great team around me as well, because I had the Collins cousins. So in my stable at Buxton Hitmen, I had Aidan Collins and Chris Collins, and I also had the fathers in the pits. But I didn't know who them guys were. But it was Peter and Les Collins. Peter was ex-world champion, and Les was second in the world. And they were so helpful. It was unbelievable. They'd put your arm around you, and it was a great team. It was something I wasn't used to in motocross. I was a lone wolf at motocross, kept myself to myself, but then suddenly 7 of you are travelling around the country, and there's a great camaraderie ship and a great feeling of achievement together. And I just, a new life opened up, started going out with the Collinses on nights out and things, and it was a great year. And then at the end of the year, I got invited to do the World Ice Speedway Championship in America, which was like a paid-for tour for three or 4 months. But to be honest with you, it was probably that ended my racing career, really. I had a big crash out there, and I'll possibly say I was never the same again after that, to be fair.
Oh dear.
I mean, I did come back and I rode again, but mentally and physically, I wasn't in the right place, to be fair. It's my life started to change around me as well. And, I seen from the Leon Woodford interview, they wear the heart on the sleeve. Leon went through his own emotional dramas and things, and Heisman had his own things, and we're honest about it. And with me, I sort of mentally started to I started suffering with a bit of depression and things. And after the accident in America, and it was a difficult time, really. Life changed. My sister emigrated to New Zealand and took a family with her. Obviously, my mum and dad split up. I had a girlfriend at the time that I broke up with, and it was just a weird time. And then I got very badly injured with my femur in America, and nearly died out there. And basically it was just a fight from then to survive, really. And I never really captured my old form again. I did come back and I did win some races, but I didn't have that spark anymore. I started thinking about the old man things, about getting a house and settling down and all that stuff. But there's only so much you can take mentally and physically with injuries and things.
I was trying to think of this earlier when I was thinking of questions. I've got loads of questions still, but I mean, like, when I thought about, like, you went over to America, you mixed it with all them, the top guys then before, you know, like before they went big time with, like you said, the Robbie Reynard, things like that, and then you did the Speedway, you mixed it with your Ty Woofendens, you know, that have gone on to be 3 times world champion, etc. You've sort of done everything in all the sports, which is a very cool story all round, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky. Obviously, I could have been more, you know. Some people say, who the hell's Carl Belfield? But, you know, I rode with some of the best riders in the world. I raced against Tortelli, Everts. I raced against Demarie. All the British riders in the British Championship back then. You look at the programme and your pictures, it was like a Grand Prix. Malin, Dobb, you know, and I beat them all. Not all of them, but I beat some of them at times. And I grew up in an era, our era, which was just stacked with wonderful riders like Sordy, Jones. All the guys went on to big things. And then early on in the Speedway career, obviously, I got to race against Ty Woofenden and some of the guys that went on to be great elite league riders. And one of the reserves in our team at Bucks and Hitmen, Charles Wright, James Wright's brother, went on. He was recently British champion recently. So, yeah, I've held some good company, and I'm really proud of that, to be fair. Some people are probably bored of me talking about it from time to time. But, yeah, I've been there. I would like to have gone a little bit further, but it was what it was. And it's a nice story. It's nice to look back on.
Should be proud of it, mate. Should be proud of it. I'm going to drop this video here of you in Ty Woofenden. I think you might know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah, I think I do.
Right, so there's Ty Woofenden and Mr. Carl Belfield. Obviously, now we know that Ty Woofenden's a 3-time world champion now. So when he was first started out, when Carl did, here they got together here. Let's check this out.
Gate 1 in green is Scott James for the Buxton Hitmen. Gate 2 in red, his second ride of the evening after having engine failure in his opener. Jenkins goes up gate 2 for the Scunthorpe Scorpions. Carl Belfield comes out for his second ride of the evening after winning his first race then in heat number 3. And off the outside gate 4 in blue is Ty Woofenden for the Scunthorpe Scorpions. Ty collecting second place, a paid win behind Josh Hawty in heat number 2. So let's see how the riders fare in heat number 7 then. Ty with a different partner. Benji Compton, of course, would have been out with Josh Hawty in heat number 4. So both Ty and Benji having ridden with Josh Hawty. Down goes the 2 riders, Carl Belfield and Ty Woofenden, just locking together there on the inside as, well, I think that might have been Benji Compton, just his back wheel just nudging out a little bit to take the turn to miss the back wheel of Scott James on the inside, in fact. But
there is a replay to watch.
Just to see exactly what happened. Away goes our star marshal there for heat number 7, and away goes the tips there. You can just see on the outside Ty Woofenden looking to make a turn in now, and Benji Compton just running into Carl Belfield, and really Carl subject to a scorpion sandwich there and having nowhere to go, and down goes Carl and Ty Woofenden. It's a disappointment for both riders involved.
Naughty one.
Yeah, well, so obviously first Ben Bunching, I think it was Benji on the inside, a good friend of mine, a great rider, does a bit of road racing now, came across doing nothing wrong. I think he just bumped me with his back wheel. But I remember how it felt on the day, and it just sort of froze my bike to I couldn't get it, but the bike wouldn't skid in, basically. It drove forward. It just drove me forward. And obviously Ty was clamping on the outside. But that was the hardest thing about Speedway, you know, coming from motocross, that to brake, you couldn't brake. You had to rev the bike harder, and you had to commit more, and you had to skid the bike more to put the brakes on. And it was such a difficult concept to get my head around. And, you know, when everybody was coming together in that first corner, it was really difficult it was scary at times because you couldn't avoid people. You got no brakes, you're on a power slide. And we camped together and we went through the fence. And I didn't hurt myself, if I'm honest, at all. But I played it up a little bit because I was hoping... Well, I was waiting for my mechanic, the guy that was helping me at the time, a guy called Paul Bacon. from my local village, great guy. He was on the spanners, so I was hoping he was going to get the bike and straighten it out. But I was told later that Ty was, I don't know how true it were, but he was allegedly coughing up a bit of blood after that one. Probably a bit hard to believe, but that's what I was told. But then there was a rerun. I've got the rerun on video somewhere, and I'm battling for third. It's a proper 4 of us going at it, and Ty's in 4th behind me on the last lap. Obviously, I didn't know he was going to be world champion, doing my best to beat him. I would always go for the boards around the dirt, but this time I was locked on the inside and it was Ty on the boards. But on the last lap, he obviously showed the reason why he was going to be a future world champion, because I think he went round the lot of us, left me in 3rd and won the race.
Wow, okay.
And he probably pushed me back to 4th, in fact. So it was a bit of a no-show because I'd won my first heat that night. But it was a wet day, so yeah, he was pretty special. I spent time with him in Australia actually as well. I got invited out to go with Peter Collins and Chris to Australia for a holiday, and Peter was very good friends with Ty's dad, so we got invited round. And Ty used to train on a 350. He started out on a 350, and he let us all have a ride. So I took my kit out there and I did some skidding on one of Ty's bikes. So it was a nice little vacation to Australia with a little bit of practice thrown in, spending a couple of weeks with PC. So I was hoping to spin on to big things, but it never worked out.
I did have a phone call about a week or 2 ago with Peter Collins, and I was so scared. I'll do that, trying to convince him that he can come on. So fingers crossed I might be able to get Peter Collins on.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. A legend.
I just need to quickly just check this to say. Right, okay. So I'm going to show this video as well. We don't want to just show a crash of you at Speedway, obviously.
No, you can't do that, no.
Nah, it's not good, mate. I think this is a good race between yourself and another British top rider, Edward Kennett. So yeah, I was going to show this one. So check this out. I think Kennett makes a start, and then you'll see what happens. Here we go.
Is Carl Belfield completing the lineup of the wide outside in yellow and black. The Raiders is Daniel Miller. Line up to heat number 7 now. The Riders much understand sort of once again. Away goes the tapes, and it's a good start for the rider. Off gate number 2 with white helmet colour, that's Edward Kennett. He gave the advantage now as Carl Belfield tries to pick it up, going around the outside. Up there with him is Chris Collins. Belfield goes around the outside though to take first position. Coming off the second turn now, it's Belfield in front. Kennett chasing hard in second place, with Chris Collins bringing in close at the rear in third position. Kennett now trying to gain some advantage over Belfield, trying to come up the inside as the riders come off the second turn. Belfield hanging on to this, riding a superb race here. Belfield keeping his cool, and it is out in front for the Buxton Hitmen. It's Carl Belfield, the rider, in front. Edward Kennett now tries to cut back and gain some advantage over Belfield as the 2 riders going on the back straight. It's a ding-dong battle between these 2, and some great speedway action here up at Hires Raceway this afternoon. Kennett trying all he can to gain some advantage, but Belfield not giving in. Belfield in front, Kennett chasing hard. Kennett tries that same move once again, coming off the second turn to try and gain some advantage. Into the third turn they go, and it's a neck in neck between these 2, and Belfield manages to make it off the final turn ahead of Edward Kennett. Carl Belfield takes the check.
Yeah, just taking Eddie Kennett and just holding him off. Lovely there.
That was the classic thing with my time at Speedway. And when I first started, I didn't really know the rules or anything. I just got on the bike and wanted to ride. And that day was the Knockout Cup final, obviously in the Conference League. Yeah. And Buxton had never won a trophy in all the history. And then that year there was a couple of local lads, me included, on the team. And it started generating some good support, and the crowd started coming to support the local lads, and it was just amazing riding for that team, because from motocross and being one of many riders to being a part of that team, the fans are so passionate about it. I'd never signed so many autographs and things, and I had children writing to me as fans and things. And I always had a crowd around me in the pits, and it was great, because I used to make time for people. But the fans were so amazing; they were like family. But the Buxton team was run by a local family who had a milk round, and they used to deliver milk round the local time, the Mosses. And Ken had put a lot of his effort into that club, and the full family, his son Richard and Richard's wife Jane, they put all the time into the club. And we made the Knockout Cup final that year. We destroyed beat all the big hitters on the way there. Little Buxton did, but we had an amazing team because we had Will Beveridge as well, another Premier League rider from Stoke, and the Collinses. And that day was just a magical day. It was a Saturday, and I won 4 out of my 5 races that day. I felt very strong, and I got back in the pits after that race, and somebody said, "Well done! I can't believe you beat him." And I'm like, "Beat who?" I didn't even know who it was from Adam. So I went and won the next 3 rides after that. And then I think he was out to get me in the 5th ride. And there was Dan Gifford there as well. Gifford was a part of the Rye House Raiders. And I can't remember what happened. I think maybe Kenneth was leading and I tried to make a plunge at him on the outside on the last lap. But I screwed it up Belfield style because I could get a bit throttle happy at times, and Gifford come round the inside and passed me, and I didn't get any points. So it ruined my maximum. I was not happy. But amazing day. And then we went on, we had to defend. We had such a big lead after that day. All we had to do is go to Rye House and defend it. And we did, and we won the trophy. And we got Ken his first trophy. And unfortunately, it wasn't long after that. Ken passed away. And lovely guy, and he got ill, and the riders loved him, and it was a really nice special thing that we did for him. So we went out in style. We got a win for him. So it were nice days, very nice, and you know it was coverage and that. So brilliant day that was.
Nice memories, and winning at the Speedway as well is always good. Fair play.
It was only in the Conference League, but it was a great league, and there was some great riders, and you felt like the GPs to me at the time. It really did.
Yeah, especially coming over from motocross, not easy to do at all. Especially when you've done it for such a long time. Got a evening call from Edward Handley.
Edward Handley is a good Facebook friend of mine. Local guy, good cameraman. Big motocross. He takes all the pictures at the local meetings and everything, and he's a great cameraman. And unfortunately, he's got none of me because I'm probably highly unlikely to go back out on a bike again right now. But I love seeing his posts of the riders. He needs to get back out there. Obviously, he can't at the minute, so he's itching to get his trigger going again.
Yeah, I definitely want to get some camera going as well. Got Chris Smith at Highley and Cole. It's a good job back in '96 you hadn't your hand didn't turn into pig's foot.
Chris Smith, I think that's the Chris Smith I know very well. Obviously, his son Callum used to. I'm not sure if they come out to the States, but they come to some of the internationals. Because again, a big part of my motocross life was my good sponsor Walter Ainsworth, and obviously Walter's not with us anymore. But he came from the rallying days, and he put the ATM engineering team together. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have raced abroad. You know what I mean? He got me the entries in the Dutch races, and he got us to the States and everything, and it was just a big part of my career. And he got the trick bits for the bikes, because in them days you couldn't always get. Everybody looks trick nowadays, don't they? They've all got the Fox gear on the helmets, everything on the bikes. But in them days, it just wasn't easily accessible. And Chris Smith was part of the setup. Callum was one of the 80s riders, but obviously Walter's son Wayne grew up and we're still good friends, and he went on to do good things at motocross. But we all miss Walter. It was good stalwart of the motocross world, and great days really, basically. I was going to say something else then, but it's gone.
Yeah, if it comes back again. I got another BSMA champion here. I think that's the right guy, Mr. Matt Carrington, who won, I think, 2001, my last race meeting. He put, spent the majority of my schoolboy days racing the same clubs as Carl. I've always watched his races, see his friends' line choices. Great times.
Matt Carrington's a classic example of, what I was saying before. And I think this applies to all of us. We were a big family, weren't we? And, some of us were rivals, but as time goes on, the rival things fades away and it turns to respect. I love, if I saw any of my old rivals on the motocross track now, I'd be rooting for them. But Matt was in the lower classes, And he was one of, like we'd say, we'd go out and we'd watch the groups before it was our turn, wouldn't we? Check the track out ourselves. And Wally was, and he was a very strong rider when he got up. He had a little brother as well. And they were very great. They were great riders between them, like I say. And I remember his dad and the full family very well, lovely people. He was also good friends with me, good mate Mark Rowe as well. So we all knew each other. We were all family, weren't we?
Yeah, I got. It was me. Said Alec Large saying about Carl's dad. Don't know why my name's not coming up though. Basically, it's just a link in the posts, guys. That sometimes you need to click on it and it gives you permission to use your profile. But that was Alec Large.
Growing up with Alec, know Alec very well. Is one of the brat pack of us boys, turning from kids to men, so to speak. Small town, mentality. We all knew each other very well.
That's very nice of you, Andy Hobbs, the man with the van in Swindon. A lot of you guys probably know he sponsors a few spear riders and he's the famous gorilla at the Western Beach race. He's put, Carl, you're a happy man to watch. Glad I tuned in at 7 p.m. UK time.
I appreciate you tuning in, Andy, because I was really scared that everyone would say, who the hell's this? And there'd be like one viewer on there or something. So it's nice for that compliment. Really pleased you tuned in.
Yep, for sure. I got, let's have a look. I got, going to get this right this time as well. So this is Steve Marlowe. I called him Stu before. I think he had a ticket on one of my competitions and I called him Stu Marlowe. I know it's Steve, yeah? That's right?
Well, Steve Marlowe, obviously, yes. Steve races now as well.
Yes, he did the AMCA when I was watching before. I don't know if he's still doing the AMCA, but
the guy would absolutely destroy me for sure. Back in the day, I was in the seniors and Steve was in the experts, but he was in that star-studded expert class. Kelly Swanson, Nathan Shelton. Steve was always very trick. Number 5 on the Suzuki, the JT gear on. And I remember Peterborough very, very well. What a great track that were. A little like man-made style Supercross outdoor track. It was amazing with whoops, doubles, tabletops. I was starting to bring in the whips a little bit in them days and double through things. It was a great track. We used to travel miles from Buxton to go to Peterborough for a club meeting. We used to travel long and far for our riding we did back in the day, but it was a great track. I remember one day I went over one of the berms and the berm was so big I couldn't get back on the track. It was like I crashed over like a wall, like a 20-foot wall onto the track at the other side. Dad had to virtually scrape me off the track.
That's brilliant. I got James here. Put how's tricks, Carl?
The good James. James is still riding as well in the vets. Started when I was having another go. He was one of the guys having a crack. So it's a shame I couldn't have done a bit more riding with you, James.
Got Mark Rowe. He put 2 right. I ain't getting in a car with your dad again. What about the Christmas tree when he came in pissed? Your mum will laugh at this one.
Oh man. So obviously Mark was my partner in crime. He's a great rider and he still rides now. And he grew up in the local. He used to have some of my old kit back in the day. I loved the PSA and the Scott Leathers, and I used to have Mark used to have my old pro tapers on his bikes and everything, and his bikes were an offcast of mine at some point. But he's always been a trick guy. But probably one of the things that held me back a little bit was my love of when I was at home, going out, to the nightclubs and having a laugh with the local lads. And we came in drunk one Christmas, and me and my dad weren't getting on too well. I went to alter the TV, and my dad had decorated his Christmas tree all proudly up, and the Christmas tree was there. And I was like, why is my dad acting like a woman? It really annoyed me that he'd put all this and he'd done it all nicely and everything. Well, Mark said something to me and I lost my balance, didn't I? And I fell back onto this Christmas tree and flattened it to the floor. And I was upside down I couldn't get off it. My legs were higher than my head. I'm upside down on the Christmas tree. And my dad screaming and wailing at me, ready to kill me. And Mark's on the couch, doubled up, laughing. And my dad's like, ready to slap Mark. Stop laughing, stop laughing. It's not funny. And we were both roaring, we're laughing. My dad was fuming. About 3 a.m.
Jesus Christ. I don't know who that is. There's no name on it, but they put, I never forgot going to watch Carl Belfield ride Sheffield Supercross against all the big names. Local legend was riding with the Royals legends. I'm not sure who that was.
Yeah, no, I was really lucky, and I did it 97, 98 and 1999. And I think I made the finals every time I went. And I did the super jump competitions as well, which was probably a bit out of my pay grade, but I did them anyway. But my biggest disappointment from Sheffield Supercross was the 99, they had a British Championship class. And in the British Championship class, they put the 125s and the 250s together. And there were some big names in there as well, like Jeff Parrott and everybody. And last lap, half a lap to go, as I'm third, I qualified, I beat all the 250s, and I went down on the last lap, didn't I? So I made the international final, but the British Championship final was more start that year, and I didn't make it. I was so gutted because I was in third, and I washed out on the last lap. I've head fade, mate. It was such a bad mistake. Bad mistake.
Oh dear, that's brilliant. I got someone's on YouTube. They're under Pump Volumes. It's called. He's put Carl was the boy back in the day when I was on a KX60. I don't know if you know who that is on the YouTube, but obviously they've not got it under their name there.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure about that. But from time to time, I go out and someone will say, "I remember you used to be, race motocross," and I was in the classes. I think any of us, like, if a rider was older than you and he was bigger than you, he was your hero, wasn't he? He didn't have to be amazing rider, really. He was older. You instantly thought he was a legend, didn't you? And that's how I looked up to everybody.
Yeah. Actually, one of my questions, I'll say that before I just ask, there's a load of questions I was looking at people who've just got here. One of the questions was, what riders did you look up to when you were in the BSMA? Like other schoolboy riders when you were young, looking up at like these seniors and experts. Who was that? And then who, when you were the one everyone was looking up to, who did you look up to pro-wise? So two-part.
Well, with the schoolboy riders, and it was a really purple era, that we lived in. And people think, it was all those years ago, the guys weren't as good as today, because there's some incredible riders out there. It's really gone up a level. But I can vouch firsthand, the talent back in my day, in our day, was just unbelievable, wasn't it? We had guys that were, had American-style talent when it comes to jumping and things. There was obviously, like, Austin Kemp. There was the Lee Morrison, wasn't there? He was a trick wild riding rider. We had, obviously, Nunny. And then we had Kelly Swanson and all them co. We had some wonderful riders. Tony Marshall. Tony Marshall, yeah. Lovely guy as well, lovely family. And then obviously my big heroes as far as motocross, McGrath, obviously. I liked Everts. But Poulter was a big fan. I was a big fan of Poulter and a huge fan. I noticed Woodford mentioned Bale as well. What a legend, Bale. I mean, he was so smooth. He kind of looked slow at times, but the pace of him was just insane. Some unbelievable riders, and like Healy, obviously, all them. The 90s, it was a great time. Some things were a little bit undiscovered. I'd love to go back in a time machine and relive the 90s, if only as a fan, but to do things differently as well.
Exactly, mate. You could literally name hundreds of them, like when you just started saying Healy, this, that, couldn't you? Bob Moore, Chody, just keep going and going.
They were all my heroes. The GPs and the Americans, they were just amazing, weren't they? And I love to hate Jeff Stanton and Damon Bradshaw as well, but I always failed to one up them sort of thing. But it was great. And RJ that you've got on tomorrow, he's just brutally fast, wasn't he? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable rider, yeah, for sure. I've got Danny Hughes has put a road speedway with Carl. What a talent on a speedway bike or a crosser.
Remember Danny very well when I was first starting out, like I say, trying to learn the sport, learn about the bikes, and he was one of the better riders at the time. Not actually sure if he was in our team, because sometimes obviously you can guess with speedway, but I definitely raced against him quite a few times, remember him very well. And again, I had to look at everybody to try and learn how to ride speedway, because when you jump at motocross, you've got to commit yourself to a triple. You've got to decide that you're going to do that triple before, and there's no hesitation. And it's kind of the same as backing the speedway bike into a tight, grippy corner. because if you don't commit and you don't get it right, that bike's going to drive forward and you've got no brakes and you're just going to drive at that fence. And if you're somewhere like Mildenow where it's a stock core fence and, you know, you're coming from motocross and you've got no brakes, it was scary. So to make that commitment to keep that power on flat out and chuck it in and hope it doesn't pick up on you, it was a big thing to get my head around.
Not cool going right all of a sudden.
No.
No. Like you said, like you explained earlier, those speedo bikes obviously had the one go, and people don't get the whole, you shut it off and it goes into this neutral in a car feel, like it runs away from you if you shut it off. It's a weird thing, isn't it, after racing motocross?
Front wheel was coming up down the straight. I was pulling a wheelie down the straight this particular day. I thought I'll just ease the gas off to drop the front end a bit down, you know, drop the front end down. I eased the gas off a tad and it stood right up on the back wheel and nearly fired me off the back. I've seen that on the television. It's a hard concept to get your head around.
Yeah, definitely. I got Adam Pryor.
What I realise about Speedway is the track looks soft and slippy, but it actually isn't. It's like a cheese grater. If you skid down that, even at a slow speed, you often get up and you've got no leg left in your motocross trousers, or there's a big hole in your Kevlars.
Yeah. I got Adam Pryor. He's put, I always enjoyed watching Carl at the Nationals. Adam Pryor was a very good rider as well in the PSMA.
Adam was a great rider. I remember everybody really well on the Hondas. Like I say, we were all a family. We travelled the country together, down south, Devon. You know, we were all on tour. We had an amazing life. And then Nationals, the BSMA Nationals, like Ladram Bay and so on. It was just an event, wasn't it? We had the marquee on the Saturday night. We had Trevor Ratfield on the commentary, and all those familiar faces. You know, our rivals, the Winstanleys, the Pryors, everybody. We knew each other, didn't we? You know, we knew everything about each other. And then we had the wonder talents as well, like Stephen Sword and everybody coming up, and Mark Jones, and it was just glory days, really.
Amazing. Love it, mate. Love it. That's why these things are so cool to do. Got Adam Allett. Look, he's put the bow ringer, Belfield, legend.
Well, he was the guy who was responsible for getting me into the Speedway. So, like, Adam's granddad's shop, Guy Allett Motorcycles, is a very basic shop, and but what people don't realise about it is downstairs was like, and upstairs was like an Aladdin's cave. It was like the most ultimate, perfect workshop, and that place had won so many world titles out of Buxton. It was absolutely unbelievable. Allegedly, you know, Peakdale, where the track was just down the road years ago, somebody, like some eyewitness, had said Ivan Major had turned up in Peakdale looking for Guy Allett. Could you direct me to Guy Allett? So Ivan Major had come from Australia with a suitcase and arrived at Peakdale looking for Adam Allett's granddad. But yeah, we had lots of nights out together. He taught, his dad helped me a lot with the bike adjustment and everything. And I got the name, the Bell Ringer, from, I went to do the ice racing championship in America, and they had a big field, but they wanted me to be Scottish to make it more international. And I'm like, I don't want to be Scottish. I don't want to be Scottish. I'm English. No disrespect to the Scots, but I said to Gary, the promoter, says, Gary, I don't want to be Scottish, please. He says, look, the Bell Ringer from Scotland sounds really good. They wanted to call me the Bell Ringer. So then the Bell Ringer stuck. But I remember I'd found out that Gary absolutely hated Canadians at the time because his wife had run off with a Canadian. So I come up with a little idea, and I went into the office and I said, Gary, I says, I want to be English, please, can you change it? He says, no, Carl, we're not going to change it. It sounds good, Bell Ringer from Scotland. I says, yes, but Gary, I said, how would you feel if I asked you to be Canadian? And that were it. Right, Carl, you can be English. English again. So that was
That's brilliant. I got Craig Hanier, the Welsh lad. He's involved with all this safe ride Swansea and all that, and down in Wales with the track and everything as well. He's put good interview, chaps. Watching with my gin while I'm attempted to give myself a haircut. Wish me luck.
I've got a bit of a passion for the self haircuts myself over these last few weeks. My arms tend to go the opposite way when I get in the mirror, though. I can't do it.
I got a bit of a trouble here. bit of trouble going on here, mate.
We need Mike Keeley to come over, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Give us some. I got Jonathan White. He put, good interview, pal. Never ever beat you out at the start. You are the whole shot king.
Well, Jonathan is obviously, he was a great British Championship rider back in the day. A part of our area. One of the Northerners, a bit older than me. Jonathan, always looked up to him. A strong rider, and we did the 125 class in the glory days in British Championship. And obviously his dad Andy from Caius witnessed Jonathan have a very bad accident at Ling one year when I come round on the race was stopped. I may have got the whole shot. I think I always got the whole shot at Ling. So I come round and Jonathan's lay on the track and I heard his muscle was hanging out of his leg, and he'd had a very nasty. I think he'd ended up on the footbed. So I was really concerned about him that day. But most of the time we just wanted to kill each other on the track. But I think we've got a big mutual respect for each other. And Jonathan's still going strong now after all these years. He's in the vets. He's probably not quite as nippy as he used to be because we were on it back then. He'd scored some good British Championship points. But the main thing, he's going strong and looking pretty stylish still. I can't even get my leg over the bike at the minute, mate.
Yeah, we respect of anyone that's doing it at the minute. Daniel Hills put, great interview. Never knew you did Speedway.
Yeah, it's, to be fair, I mean, I was an out-and-out motocross rider. It was my passion, but I grew to love Speedway too. And in some ways, it made me wish that I'd not started Speedway early because I could have probably done a lot better at it. But the thing is, I've never wanted to, I don't regret anything that I've done. It was what it was. And I love my motocross too much. I should have done things a little bit differently, really. But yeah, it was at the wrong time in my life, really. The Speedway come along, things were starting to unravel, and I went into a bit of a depressive area, with my life. Yeah. And as Leon Woodford talked about, it was because I spent a year and a half out with a fractured thigh bone from America. Had a big crash on the ice racing, and took me like a good year and a half to get back on the bike. But the beauty of Speedway was the amazing people and the people that helped me with it as well, like the Baker family from Macclesfield. They put their time and effort, let me use their garage, and great work on the bike. And my friend in the local, everybody wanted to be a part. Paul Bacon in my local time, got to thank them all because they all played the part in it. And difficult time for me really, because I should have done so much more, but it just became a painful and brutal experience for me, really. But I made it to the Premier League, and I had a few Premier League experiences before I was done. So I did all right.
We're going global, Carl. Morning from Australia, Carl. So I'm not sure who that is. They've not registered it, but they've put morning from Australia. So yeah,
in a nicer, warmer place than where we're at right now.
Yeah, definitely.
The Australians are a big part of Speedway. They got some great riders from over there, and it's a really, there's some impressive talent comes out of Australia.
Got Phil Elkin. He's put with a few Speedway riders coming out of retirement. Will we see Cole have another go at Speedway?
Oh, I think that I have dreams from time to time about the motocross and Speedway career, and it pulls me strings where I'm riding really impeccably on the track. But I'm not sure if I could do it right now. I'm not sure because it involves so much commitment and fitness as well. And that commitment of, it's not easy to skid around those corners, especially at Buxton when it's so grippy and patchy and it's wanting to drive you forward all the time. I'd have to have a word with myself, and I'd have to get my head in gear, and I'd have to come back, and I'd have to commit to it, unless you got me some stabilisers or something.
Yeah, exactly. Got Nick put, a bloody brilliant interview. Could sit here all night listening to Carl's stories.
I like to talk some rubbish from time to time, but I could talk about motocross all night long. And like I say, we were rivals back in the day, weren't we, Lee? 97, the SMA final at Macemore. I worked my little ass off all weekend trying to come through that field, and I think I managed to take a race win off you on the Sunday. But I love talking about it, and I love it how we've all come together again, because I think it's healing for us all. I think all of us that went through the schoolboy motocross and have been a part of motocross and shared a passion so great. I think we can all sort of connect on everything we talk about and everything. And it's like, it's healing for me because I've struggled to move on from racing. It was such a big part of my life for so long. It's all that I thought about. And then to go out in the real world and try and survive is just another number and have that pleasure taken away, that rush from the weekend and the highs and lows of going through things with your friends and family. It takes some beating, it leaves a void, and we've all struggled to move on from it. So it's great to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. I've definitely struggled as well. So it is very cool to reminisce over these memories. Got Stuart Harrier, Lawrence's brother, Stewie. He's put, hi, what was your favourite speedway track? And did you ever see the Exeter track?
Obviously, I tried to learn about Speedway when I obviously read about Lawrence Hare, so I was familiar with Lawrence's career. So thanks nice to come and ask me that. I never rode at Exeter, but obviously it's a pretty scary place from what I can gather, because I think the fence at Exeter was made out of panels from some World War II bunkers out of London or something, wasn't it? It was like solid steel squares, like sheets around the track. And that's what the old-fashioned speedway riders had to do a real. If you get it wrong, you're hitting a metal fence flat out, and that takes some cojones, doesn't it? Jesus my favourite track was certainly not my home track, Buxton, because it was difficult. I rode at Swindon. Swindon was a lovely track. I like them tight and a little bit bumpy in some ways, and I like Workington. I managed to get to ride there, and I rode at Berwick as well. And always struggled at the old Bellevue as well. I usually ended up going to the hospital. I think the last time I rode there, I ended up in the A&E for the night with the collarbone, arm in a sling. But yeah, the speedway. The scary thing about a speedway was, a motocross, you can go and get 10, 15 minutes practice to like get dialed in. Yeah. The speedway, I was new to it. I didn't strictly know how to deal with it, and you have to go around to, there's no practice. You get off your parade lap and you go around to the start and it tapes up away you go. So I'd have to try and get some practice starts in on the way round to the start to try and get the feel of the corner. So very scary, really.
Phil's put, what is Carl up to these days?
Oh, man. After racing, I tried to sort of run away and try and get away from everything really and sort of have a fresh start. So I got a job driving tour buses and I went away for 5 years drove some rock stars around Europe and whatnot. So that was an amazing experience for me. But it was just a difficult time for me really, sort of pining over racing. So I did that for 5 years, and then it was sort of bad for my health because I was like up all night and I was just always on the road. Had so many experiences from it, and I thought I need to come home and do something different. And I'll do whatever it takes. I'll start from the bottom and I'll work up. And I went back to college and I trained to be a hairdresser, and then I managed to open a salon within a couple of years, where at the moment it's just me that works here. So I'm a hairdresser at the minute, which many people didn't believe when I first started doing it. They thought it was a joke. But it is hard to get my head around sometimes because I'm not your stereotypical cab guy. I'm the opposite sort. Yeah.
Man's man, yeah.
I can act it up as much as I need to sometimes. When you're working with women all day long, it can certainly soften you down a little bit.
yeah, definitely.
Learn to stop swearing, that's my problem.
Yeah, Carl Baker put, great interview, Lee and Carl. Thanks for the mention, Carl. We had some good times, mate. He
was a great guy, Carl. You know, he's a really talented guy, ex-sidecar motocross rider, and there was a big motocross community in Macclesfield, and obviously Lee Fairham from Design comes from Macclesfield. And it was a really big motocross community, and I was really honoured to, like, you know, they always looked out for me, and they were always fans of mine and helped. And Carl gave his time up, and we'd work on the bike late on the Saturday night before the race meeting. But the only trouble is we'd end up going on the Xbox doing a Supercross game before I went home, and then it'd end up getting in bed late when I should have been in bed early for the night's racing. We'd end up stuck on the Supercross game trying to beat each other. But yeah, they were good days, and obviously Lee Fairham from Design, the helmet painter, used to come with me. He paints all the stars' helmets now, and I think it was a bit of a transition into speedway for him. And he used to bring some of the old motocross guys along, like Mark Prince and everything from Stoke-on-Trent. And it's just, I was honoured to have people come and watch me and turn out to watch me. And it's like, hey, Carl, it does speedway nowadays. So,
So what happened with your big injury then, Carl? What sort of injuries did you have through the schoolboy side? And did you have any injuries through the speedway side? And then obviously about your big injury, what happened with all that, if you can run us through that?
So, to be honest with you, I was very lucky because I was very light and I was very fit. And I was strong, really strong for my size. And I had some big crashes. I mean, big ones. But most of the time I used to get up. It was very rare I'd break. Obviously, I'd be in agony. I'd knock myself out and things. I had some nasty concussions. But when I started the speedway is when I started to find injuries. And obviously I was getting older as well, and probably I wasn't in the best shape as I had been in the past. So I went out to do the ice racing, and then somebody put me in the fence. And it was the beginning of the end for me, really, because I was on a purple patch up till then. I had Hull wanting to sign me for the Premier League as reserve for the following year, and I was getting interest. And I was on the crash course to... I was balls out, to be fair. I didn't have proper speedway technique. I just knew how to twist it. So I went ice racing, and one of the riders made a mistake in front of me, and I hit the fence flat out, ice hockey fence. And that was... I basically come round on the ice, and I knew something wasn't right. And then I felt like both my legs were in front of each other together, but I actually sort of saw a white blob in the corner of my right eye. And I sort of looked to the right, and my foot was up near my ear, and my toes were pointing the wrong way around. And I'd smashed my femur and wrapped my leg bound around the back of my head. But it didn't feel like it felt like my leg was in its normal position. So I just panicked, and I got my leg, and I just moved it itself and put it back. But the pain was just ridiculous. They put me on a stretcher. It was Syracuse and New York. They lifted me up and left my leg on the ice as well. So they picked my body up and never picked my leg up at the same time. Felt like my leg was going to pull off. It was awful. Two blood transfusions, 10-hour operation later. I had the doctors round at my bed basically saying I could die because I got an embolism from the operation. I told my dad not to come out, but my dad come and collected me. It was just a horrible week. I was out of hospital within a week, and I was on an aeroplane. I was laying a flower bed in the hospital at New York. My dad checking in. We've got to go home. I've got the ticket to get you home. I'm like, I'm not really comfortable being out of bed though. So he had to lie me in a flower bed, and he got me on the plane. And then I got deep vein thrombosis on the way home, and I was really poorly. And I never recovered for a good year and a half after that. When I started race racing again in 2004 on the speedway, I couldn't even walk the speedway track. I couldn't even do a lap at walking. My hip was so bad. I couldn't even sleep on it for years after in bed, but I still raced speedway because I was desperate to try and do something before it was too late. But it was already too late, to be fair.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it was a good one. It really knocked me mentally because I was in a pretty bad place before I went. I was in a bad place mentally because of the family issues, and I went out there sort of struggling with a bit of depression, anxiety. So when that accident took hold, it nearly finished me. To be fair, I think I was on the verge of a mental breakdown after that, really. And people sort of wondered why I wasn't the same sort of happy-go-lucky person after that. People noticed, I think, from my friends growing up that I was a different person, and it's been a bit of a battle ever since. Yeah. But and then I made the comeback this last year, 2019, to make a pledge for the vets, and I broke my neck and I broke my back. So that's probably me done. But if you don't let it put you down and you keep plodding on, you've got to keep moving in life, because winter will always turn to summer. You've got to keep moving and things will get better. And it's an old cliche, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But you can come through it, and you do come through it. And I am strong now, and I'm probably the strongest I've ever been. If I could have added some of my mental strength now to my racing back in the day, that young pizzazz, that flamboyance that I had, I'd have been a lot better. But unfortunately, I've got the mental strength, but not the flamboyance anymore. I'm ready for the slippers, mate. pie.
Same. Right, I'm going to show a few of these pictures that I put up. There's a couple here of your starts as well. I think that's Torrington, is it, Carl?
Torrington, Devon, 99 British 125 Championship.
Right,
First,
there's Mike Brown's and all them behind you, and everyone at Luigi Sagai, is it?
yeah, Brad Anderson, Luigi Sagai, Dobby. There's a fair few of them in there. Adam Lyons, I think that number 10 could possibly be. He was a rider that got stronger as the years went by as well. That was like the second corner. The first corner was just a flat-out uphill sweeper. I don't think I backed it off. I had a job to sort of break into this corner. I had to slide the bike the other way to make the corner. But, you got the whole shot at the British Championship and you had to push so hard because one slight error and there was like 5 guys come past you. There was like a swarm of bees after you and you had to ride for your life. You had to push as hard as you can because you was ready to get swallowed up immediately.
Got a nice one of you here in front of, that looks like potentially Coleman on the inside. Paul Mail in there, number 40, is it?
Yeah, so that was Ling. I didn't miss many hole shots in the 125 class at Ling. And I'll take that chicane sweeper there flat out down that back straight and then there's a right-hand bend that you have to really push hard into before you sort of drop into the bomb hole. And it was that day I was still in the lead, come out of the bomb hole in the lead, down that back straight, and there was a chicane at the bottom that particular weekend. And my back end danced a little bit sideways through the braking bumps and my swing arm hit the tyres on the chicane. And I did the biggest cartwheel you could have ever seen. I think there was Anglian TV there that day, and I just hope to God that they captured it because Finbar Neavesy come up to me at the end and he says, Carl, I wish you'd not had that crash. He was joking, man, because he was a great lad. I wish you'd not had that crash at Ling in front of Nunny because he says Nunny never stops talking about it. He said it was the most ridiculous crash he'd ever seen. The bike was just spinning through the air. I was hooked on the paling fence upside down at the other end of the track after that at the outset of the chicane. I was on the paling fence.
There's another one here.
Farley Castle, Shell Advance International.
Mailing on the inside, Dobby, Prattley.
Yeah, I wish I'd converted those whole shots a little bit more into something. Probably if I could have done with putting a little bit more grit into those races at times. Like I say, I so took it for granted. It's like, here we go again, pop. There's another one. I didn't realise how special it was, really. And again, Shell International at Hawkston Park that day. Never struggled with Hawkston Park. It was not one of my favourites.
See quite a lot of top guys there shouting on the outside on 16. I think that's Priest in it, 14.
Yeah, Ricky Priest, John O'White's in there, the guy that commented earlier. Nathan Shelton, 16. Paul Cowshaw, 58. Another great rider there next to me, 54. Michael Williamson, like a hot rider who's a fantastic rider. He were in the schoolboys.
I think that's Neil Prince behind you as well, isn't it? Number 4, probably a bit further back. Number 4.
Yeah, it is. It's on the TRS Honda, isn't it? The Skymaster Honda.
Yeah, I've got another good one here at maybe Matchams, potentially.
Yeah, I've got to give me old mate Lee Williams a shout out here.
Yes, 28, yeah.
He was the thorn in my side, Lee, where we grew up together, we raced everywhere together, and he was a good friend, but he was more of a fierce adversary to me. But he was a part of our crowd, and we went everywhere. We was a part of each other's lives, and that was it. And his dad Keith was an amazing guy, but the track was brutal at Matchams Park. I was probably fifth. But I think Lee cleaned up that day. He was very strong, great rider when it was rough sand. My little light backside would be bounced all over the place. I liked it to move. But Lee was a great rider.
Yeah, had some good races with Lee as well. I remember he's a good rider.
He is
always looked trick as well. Yes, nice one there.
Me and the four.
Canada Heights.
Yeah, Canada Heights. It's always it's a tough start, that one, because I think it was concrete, wasn't it? And I hated concrete because I was so light that if I couldn't get any traction, there were no whole shot for me. I needed the bike to bite, and there I just, because I was light, you needed to be heavy to hold the tyre down, and I was just wasting my time on them concrete starts. I hate them when I see them on the telly. I think, what a ridiculous idea. Because part of the advantage was picking a good line and getting a good rut and everything. It was all a part of the game.
Yeah.
Like I said, without my dad, like any of us, we wouldn't have been able to do it, would we? You know, we'd have been.
Mate.
We wouldn't have
I
even.
thought you looked. I was looking through obviously all your photos. I think you looked quite trick on the old Suzuki as well. I thought.
It's good back that. All the second gear start all day long. I had Stephen Cleaver do the engine from up this way. It's a great tuner. Never missed a beat all year. It was just a whole shot machine. Great bike. I love my Suzuki. So was Suzuki mad. From the original RM80s with that big fat front mudguard on the front. I love them. It took a bit of weaning off the Suzukis onto the Yamahas.
I was going to ask you about the Husky because you did the British Championships on that as well, didn't you? I've got a few pictures of you with that. Look, there's the bike.
Yeah, so my Husky was one of my favourite bikes. It was a pretty basic bike. I think we had a reed block in it, it had a Coyote pipe and silencer on that bike. It was a Hanson supported bike. Greg Hanson supported me that year.
Oh, nice.
And I think Stan Stevens did a little bit of work to the engine, and it was absolutely beautiful, that bike. It's quite a funny story, really, how I got the ride with Greg Hanson, because I got invited down to... Well, no, he put an advert on saying you could go and test the Husqvarnas at Mildenhall. Yeah. So I went to Mildenhall on this frosty day to try the Husky out. There was not too many people there. The call num was out on a 426, but nobody was jumping anything because it was so frosty and icy. But I just felt instantly comfortable, and I was busting all the big jumps out straight away. So I got Greg's eye, to be fair, and we got on as well. And then in the middle of the track, there was 3 single jumps like America. And nobody, not even Nunny on the 426, they were just singling them. But it was so icy. And I thought, right, I'm going to pull something out special. And I come round and I did my seat bounce thing on the 3 singles, and I doubled 2 of these big singles. And I come round the next lap and I doubled again. But the line started getting polished on the ice because it was like a blue groove on the ice. And I was getting a little bit shorter each time I did it because I was running the track. So I come round on the 3rd lap and I didn't really want to do it anymore. But Greg had crossed from the pits all the track, and he climbed all the fences, and he was stood at the side of them waiting for me to do it. So I thought, oh no, I've got to do it. So I landed on the 2nd jump, hit the power on the sweet spot like I'd been doing the previous 2 laps. And I just felt the back tyres spin up on the ice. And and all my momentum went. Well, I cartwheeled his bike right in front of him. I rolled it down the track, and I broke his front mudguard off it. I flattened his bars and everything. It made a right mess of his bike. And he picked me up, and he still shocked that I doubled it. He was still going on about it and gave me a call the next day, and I got the pleasure of riding one of his bikes for the year. But I'd like to have done more for him, really, but it was a nice little story anyway.
Yeah, that's very cool. I got a nice one here. That's for you riding in Netherlands, isn't it? Holland.
Yeah, that's Benray. I was really, really fast that day. I went down on the Friday night and went in an AMCA group with the adults. I was a schoolboy and went out with all the 500s and everything, and I won. I got a maximum. But when I come to get the trophy at the end of the night, they banned me. They took me out of the points because they didn't like the fact that I'd won, so they said there was an illegal entry and they wouldn't let me take the win. So I went to the trophy presentation from the side. Then there was the main race on the weekend, and I didn't gate so well, and I charged through the field, and Ross Lang was there. Ross Lang, the Vortex Yamaha.
Oh, yeah, I know him. Yeah.
And, Ross Lang was on fire that weekend, and it's like, what the hell's happened to him? Because he was at the front. And it took me the entire race to pick everybody off. And I managed to get onto the back of him on the last lap. But I jumped into a hole and sprained my wrist really bad. But I went on adrenaline, and I managed to poke it past him on the last lap. But I just couldn't hold on to the bar, and he got me back. And I finished 2nd. It was a great result because I destroyed my wrist. But that, unfortunately, I never continued out to go home. It's twice I went to Holland on schoolboy internationals and never rode because the time before I knocked myself out on a 60-foot tabletop and ended up in... This is a good story. I ended up in the medic's van. Yeah. He stretched me off the track, and she said, you've had a bad head injury. We can't let you go. She spoke English. And I was trying to prove to her that I was okay. And she said, where are you? Where are you? What's your name? And I'm like, Carl Belfield. She says, where are you? And I was in Venray at Schoolboy International, and I was dead proudly said to her, I'm at the Valkenswaard 250 Grand Prix. I actually thought I was at the Grand Prix. I was so dead.
Oh, my God.
She says, no, you're not actually. You're going to have to stay there a little bit longer.
That's brilliant. Oh, that's classic. Right, I got another one here. A nice one here.
That's at that horrible place that you call home.
That stupid chicane before that double at the end. Like, what was the point of that? All it meant was everyone's going to just risk it all weekend.
You know what, Lee? Foxhill is without doubt the best GP venue in my eyes as far as spectating at the atmosphere. My God, those 90s GPs were unbelievable. But for me personally,
I knew there was a butt coming. I knew there was a butt.
I knocked myself out there as well at the support class for the 125 GP off the tabletop in the valley. But it was a track that looked easy, but it was so difficult because the chalk was so slippy and the off-camber below the pits. You'd start on the right-hand side of it and then you'd bounce down to the left because the track was just so rough. It was such an unforgiving track. You had to have your bike set up, your stiff suspension and everything there because I even ripped my front pipe off there on a heavy landing off a jump. It was tough, that place where, unforgiving track. But what a track, what memories of Mailing going down that valley in the GPs.
Oh, mate.
Unbelievable.
That was awesome, yeah. I got a cool one here of you with my man that I got on tomorrow night.
RJ. Yeah, 12 years old.
Wow.
CJH Imports, Colin Harrison, another one of the guys I was very close, good friend of mine growing up. Had some bits off Colin over the years. Obviously, I don't think he's with us anymore. His son David. He arranged for Johnson to come over in 1989 to Worcester, to Apex, and I was fortunate enough to get invited along. And Johnson sat on my bike and did a little demo. But he was like walking us around the track, telling us what to do with everything. And I think Americans are just on a different level to us nowadays. I think the kids in America would have been jumping what our adults weren't doing at the time. I think Johnson even said that, to be fair. But, he always had an edge about him, but rightly so, Johnson, didn't he? He was the man.
Definitely. I saw this you on this Yamaha. I thought that was very trick. I remember seeing you roll out.
Yeah, that's... I went through... I got torn between the two sports, and when it come to an end, my fitness wasn't good. And to be honest with you, I become pretty shocking on a motocross bike, and it shouldn't have been the case. And I sort of put some time and effort together, and I got the 125, and I started going okay again. And I went to a vets meeting and managed to finally win a vets race at club level, and it felt like I'd won a GP, but. I wasn't ready to sort of put that commitment in because I was so tired all week afterwards and trying to run a business and everything, the hairdressing and, earn a living and do everything on your own. It was just too difficult. I missed that support that I had with all my, my team back in the day. I was a lone wolf out there and it was just a struggle. But it was nice to go and finally put the demons to rest and go and get a win. On the 125. I should have stayed with the 125 really and kept it and done practicing from time to time, but I do these rash things and I sell up and that's it. But then obviously I got the 350 and tried to train for the vets where it all went wrong for me again. I should have kept on that 125 Yamaha. I'd have been all right now.
That's a nice one, yeah?
Yeah, that was 2000 Worcester Supercross. I was fast that night. Rob Herring, Breeden, everybody were there. And there was a couple of jumps on the track nobody were doing apart because I had the 4-stroke. Everyone were on the 252 strokes. There was a tabletop coming out of a corner and I was the only one jumping off a tabletop down this jump after it. And that picture there was like a 2-lane jump. It had a low takeoff and a big high takeoff. And nobody used the high takeoff all day. But I just enjoyed getting the big air off it and enjoying riding and slotting it into the inside after. I love that track, Worcester. It's a great track. Used to love watching the Wednesday night Supercrosses that used to be on Screen Sport as well.
I remember that, yeah, I used to remember
Anything that was on Screen Sport or Sky Hour, it was recorded. Motocross,
Speedway as well, yeah.
Speedway, and in the velodrome or whatever in Holland.
Yeah, real cool.
All of dirt bikes. That's from Moto Dorno in Italy. I was not riding at the time. I'd kept some old kit, and my old mate Wayne Ainsworth from Walter's son was going to do the reunion and go race in the States. He's like, right, you come into Italy with me. And he arranged the trip to Italy. You can go and hire the bikes there. And what a track that is. I would recommend it to anyone. You go and get an EasyJet flight over, hire a bike, take your kit, and there's a bloody outdoor Supercross style, perfectly prepared track. Moto Dorno, it's called. What a brilliant day that was.
Right up your alley then. Right up your alley.
Hanging out in my backside with blistered hands after like 2 laps. So
yeah.
Unfit. That would be my advice to anybody that was thinking of making a comeback to motocross. Would be, don't try and ride yourself back into fitness, but get yourself fit before you ride again, because that was my mistake. I wasn't fit enough. End of. You've got to be fit to do that game. Fitness was gifted to us when we were kids. We took it for granted. Time ticks on, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a bit. I got a couple of, while I show some more pictures, a couple of the guys have been asking questions quite a bit while I've been showing these. Phil said, did you keep any of your speedway or motocross bikes or any of your helmets or gear from over your career at all?
Not really. I mean, Harry Everett, I'd read an article, Harry Everett said, as you get older, it feels like less important to you, the memorabilia and things. And I have got a few little bits, a couple of helmets, but I've more relied on some of the pictures and things, really. I wish I'd kept some of my kit, but to be fair, most of my kit was destroyed by the time I'd finished. For example, that kit there was cut off me on that KTM.
Bloody hell.
Broke my back. But most of my
I wouldn't have even known that was you, like seeing you on the KTM there and stuff.
No, it was an odd. I shouldn't have got the 350. To be fair, I wasn't fit enough. It was too much of a bike for me, and to be fair, I struggled really badly with the suspension. The suspension was horrible for me. I should have had it, the correct springs and the revalve and everything for me. I tried to set it up standard, and my God, it didn't work. It punished me. So, yeah, the bike was too fast for me, I will admit. I should have got the 125 and trained myself up to a level again. I'm a 2-stroke rider. It was my era, so like Woody and Eastman.
Gaz Bailey put, Carl Belfield, brilliant interview, mate. Some great stories there, and a riding career you should be very proud of. Well done.
Yeah, like it's nice. It's nice when people acknowledge that. It's a long time ago now, and I'm a spent force. It's like another world, a world away. But it means a lot to me when people remember, and say nice things. We all like nice things to be said, and yeah, it means the world to me, mate. I love you all. It's amazing.
Stewie Hare put, did you ever ride Western, Cole?
No, I didn't. I never did Western. In some ways, I needed more people around me in some ways that knew more about the sport, because when we come into motocross, my dad was new to motocross. It was me that wanted to do it. And probably if we knew, it was something, it was a big deal going down there and having to change your fuel in the pits and everything, wasn't it? It was another mission altogether. And it was something I never ever thought about. The longest race I did was the Fast Eddie, the first ever Fast Eddie in '99 on the Husky. It was the Fast Eddie at Hawkston Park, and it was a 3-hour race. So that's the closest thing to come. And I had a really great day as well. I was the top 125. I think I beat the British Enduro champion at the time. And I was on for a 6th in the pro class on the 125. But I went down in the woods on the last lap, and I was so tired I couldn't even pick my bike up. 7th or 8th, it was a great result, but my God, I was hanging. I must have ached for about 3 days after it, because I rode full pace for 3 hours. I was fit in them days. I didn't have much timber.
No. I got Mike Turner put, ask Carl about travelling back from Fox Hills in the van with one gear.
Oh my, yeah, what a weekend. So I took a load of mates down in the van for the Motocross Destination. No, it wasn't the Motocross Nations. It was the GP when Everts was in his prime, maybe in '98.
Yeah, yeah.
We broke down on the way because I pulled the gear handle off in my hand. It was one of my dad's old croaky vans, and I had everybody in the back. And it was wondering how I was going to get home because the gear handle was in my hand, and you had to slot it in the hole and try and find the gear and then take it out again. Well, we managed to get in fifth gear coming out of Foxhill, and we had to stay in fifth gear all the way back to Buxton. We couldn't stop for the lights or anything. And there was a load of lads in the back on deck chairs and everything, and they were all flying around. Some of them were nearly going out through the back doors because they'd all been drinking. But we managed to get home in fifth gear all the way. It was ridiculous. I had to sit back and wait for the lights to go on green. It was the scariest journey ever, I tell you. Because if we get stranded on the motorway, we're finished.
You could have done with your dad, stuck in fifth gear.
Yeah, my dad would have been flat out.
You'd have been happy as Larry. I presume, I think I know who that is. I remember having a few battles with Carl, great competitor, Logger. So I think that's Dean Logsdale.
Got to be Logsdale.
Mm.
So I became friends with Dean on Facebook recently, and like I say, I used to keep myself to myself back in the day.
Mm.
But nowadays, I would love to meet you all and have a good beer and have a good chat about everything. Logsdale was always there. He was my era. He was a great rider. He was always a trick-looking guy as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
My most painful memory of Logsdale, because he did the British Championships with me as well. It was Hawkston Park, British Championship, and we went round the opposite way and jumped out of the bomb hole up the steep bank. We didn't drop in. And I came out of there, and Logsdale came and jumped out higher than my head. And he landed on my left hand with his foot peg. And he hit me on the top of the hand. Well, I just wanted to scream. I managed to finish the race, but you know when you get hit on the top of your hand or your foot, doesn't it? I think no, it wasn't his foot peg. It was his front brake lever. I had the bolt under his foot, front brake lever embedded in the top of my hand. I had a big hole in my hand. Oh my god, that did hurt. But no, he was a good clean racer, and we had some good scraps together. Obviously, I remember him at Langrish that day on the National Really Hot Day. You just remember seeing everybody in the Parc Fermé waiting to go down, and you sort of weighing everybody up, aren't you? And you acknowledge each other. You don't always speak, don't you? But
exactly that.
I do respect to them all a lot.
Nick put, seriously, I cannot wait for the Carl Belfield Mike Healy interview. Hope it happens soon. Yeah, I'll make that happen.
Yeah, we need to make that. I'd love to see Mike get over here because the country deserves to see him.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of Healy fans out there, and I've got some reasonable stories from time to time. But Mike Healy, my God, he's a walking vocabulary on stories, isn't he? He's name dropping Bale, De Costa, and a lot of them. A remarkable guy, and just so naturally talented as well. I reckon if he got fit, he'd get on a bike now and he'd rip because he's just got it. But he's a great hairdresser as well. He'll do you a really nice, neat, clean haircut. Knows what he's
doing. Facebook and that. Yeah, he's proper good at it as well.
He's an immaculate guy. You know, he's a perfectionist and he goes slow. He's telling me about the Japanese GP at Suzuka and Stanton, and he's got the trophy on the wall while he's cutting my hair. I was like totally starstruck, man.
Yeah, massively.
Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir.
Yeah, I can't believe you got to do that.
Can we go now?
Yeah, that's mental. That's brilliant. Do you still keep in touch with the motocross now? As in, like, do you watch the GPs? Do you watch the Supercross? Do you keep an eye on the British Championship? I'm
not. I'm obviously. Back in the day, I used to love my man-made tracks, but I find the man-made tracks and the MXGP just a little bit boring now. It doesn't warm to me.
Same. I don't really not that interested.
And I don't like the 20 rider lineups and everything. Excuse me, but I do love on a Sunday morning watching the AMA Supercross and the AMA Nationals still. But it's kind of like I feel like the heart's dropped out of it now. Now there's no fans in the stadiums. It doesn't feel quite the same. But I am enjoying this year's championship and kind of enjoying seeing Ken do what he's doing because what a battle he's had. He's really been through it. What a tough dude he is. You know, to come through everything and win again.
After that,
they're amazing, aren't they? Those guys are remarkable. I'm certainly glad that it's not my time again to go up against people like that. You know, the speed you go on these 450s. The 450s are such a fast bike. 125.
Got Wayne Ainsworth has put, tell Carl to remember he ain't allowed another bike.
Well, Wayne's become my dad now because I said, right, Wayne, we'll try and head out to Moto. You're not coming, Carl. That is it. Yeah, but Wayne, if you're not coming, that's it. I like speaking to my dad. He's telling me off. But he's a good friend. He's there as a child. We went to the Gainesville together. He went in the class with Ernesto Fonseca and all them kids on the 80s. Wow, a baptism of fire there. And he grew up into a big 7-foot dude that can chuck a 450 around. I was taller than him back in the day, but now he's twice the size of me. But obviously, he got very fond memories. See Wayne as kind of family. So, yes, Wayne, I'll listen to you, mate. If I can't go, we won't go. Don't want to upset you. He come to see me in hospital when I broke my back, and it meant the world to me. So, it's a good friend.
Right. Before we go, I've got to get a few of these questions in I got down because I really want to know about these. So, got to get these in. Obviously, I see your number. I know you had number 70, a few numbers. What was your favourite race number and the reason for having it and why or how that came about, etc. Numbers that you used. What was the reasons?
My favourite number was 7 just because of the lucky 7 and it looked trick on the plate. You know, we used to call them Supercross numbers back at the day when you used to go to the sticker shop, didn't they? Yes, and like Woody, I've made my own numbers from time to time and made stencils and that. I love 7. But my dad made me have 0 for a while because nobody would ever have it. So the 0 went on the bike and it stayed on all year because nobody wanted it because it looked so bad. But I was 0 for a while. But I like 7 and 56 was a good British Championship number. I actually like 70 as well. I'm not a big fan of this career numbers thing. I like to have the number 1 plate on the Champions bike from the previous year. That was
that was cool,
for me. I don't think it's anyone's right to own a number as such. I like to. It was good to see, you know, the riders come out. Oh, he's 5th in last year's championship. He's number 5. Even though, you know, it does have its advantages, but I like the old-fashioned way. I'm an old-fashioned type of person.
I was just about to say that to him as well, Ben. I just see Ben come up, and I was just about to say when you said about naught, I remember Ben Vizard when he was on his Husky as well. He had a naught, and he just put, I had it too.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember.
It was certainly a number that you didn't have to peel off because nobody else would have it, and it was a dad's perfect number, wasn't it? Because you didn't have to go and get the money
if you went visited a club or anything.
But I remember on the Husky with a 0, definitely.
Yeah, I remember that. Did you have any superstitions in your career? Speedway, motocross, any little things that you had?
A bit of a gross, really, because if I'd gone out in the first race and with the scruffy T-shirt on underneath and the socks that I took with me, they usually stayed on for the day, and that were it. You know, I like to look cool, you know, from time to time, but if I'd won the first race and I was blurted in mud, sometimes that gear would stay on for the day. I wouldn't be one of these people to go putting the shiny new kit on every time. I felt like I'd lost a piece of my previous win.
I like that. So there's no plans to obviously have a go again in any way?
Probably highly unlikely because I've obviously got 2 vertebrae fused together in my back now. My back's in good shape, but I just wouldn't fancy. I mean, I can always be persuaded because it runs deep in my veins, and I miss it dearly. And I still feel I've got sort of I want to be able to go out on a bike again and turn it on half decent because I feel like I've let myself down with that to get fit and come back and be respectable on a regular basis. Even if it was in the practice strap. But, you know, as you get older, money gets in the way and work commitments, and it's difficult, mate. You know, we had our dads and that, and now you do everything. You make your food, you clean your bike, you travel to the... When I broke my back, I had to call home. I had to call back to Buxton. Can someone to come out to get me? I'm in the hospital. I've got a broken back. My bike's at the track, and some other riders have put my bike in the back of the van for me. It's not good, really. But, you know, you never know. You should never say never to anything. Anything's possible.
We'll have to get you, obviously, you know, probably about that reunion meeting I'm going to do. We'll have to get you there, even if it's some sort of a lap of honour or something like that. Even if it's something like that, you have to.
absolutely. Try and keep me away just to meet everybody and have a good chat and a few drinks. Beer tent style Saturday night.
Yeah.
Do you remember the GP at Foxhill when the riot
Oh my God, yeah.
That was the most unbelievable experience ever. When the beer tent was dragged down and everything was flattened, wasn't it? And all the police were getting bottled. That was in the family car park, in the family paddock as well, wasn't it? There were like schoolboy motocross riders stood with the parents watching the police get attacked by the bottles in the middle of the night in the GP at Foxhill. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it.
I honestly think that was sort of like the start of the end of the whole GP thing, like with the village Wamborough that's just down the road from it, and they apparently was damage all down there in the village and like loads of mad stuff. It was like, I think that was part of the end, the start of the end of that type of thing.
You get foreign fans come over with no helmets on, blading down the street on like GSX or 1100s and things like that, wouldn't you? It's just crazy, amazing times. Is it just overwhelming, really?
Yeah. If you had I've got a couple more. If you had, did you have is there a favourite memory you've got, like in the schoolboys of the BSMA days? Is there a favourite memory sticks in your mind?
None, probably. Langrish '95 was pretty good when I won the national there.
Iconic track, yeah.
Just happy times of going to like Chippenham on those 2-day meetings when it was red hot and all the track was watered perfect. You'd go on the Saturday night looking at the program, seeing all the regulars turn up, all your rivals and all the other groups, hearing all the generators going. It was just all special, wasn't it? Yeah. So it's just in general, really happy memories.
Whereas Woodford did go round turning them all off.
Yeah, he always said that. I bet he probably did ours a few times as well, because it went on in the middle of the night.
Been absolutely awesome, mate. Loved it.
Yeah, it's been mint. I've loved it too. I've been looking forward to doing it all day, and I'm just glad it's turned out okay. And we've had a few people watch, and thanks for everybody coming on to watch. We've all shared good times. It's amazing sport, and we're all a family. And I've got no bad memories of anybody. I'd be there I'd be there at the side of the track rooting you all on if I could get to the track this weekend. With the old dogs, weren't we? It was our time. But it's our time still now, isn't it? So respect to all the modern day guys that have signed in and just all to be a part of that racing bikes. We're lucky, aren't we? Lucky people.
Yep, it's always an honour to speak to you guys, mate. Really appreciate it. We've had some great years of racing against each other, and it's real cool to reminisce over these memories. Really appreciate your time, buddy. And
I appreciate your hard work, Lee, because getting on here tonight, and I've just realised how much effort goes into all of this, and you've done a remarkable job. And I hope you go from strength to strength and get 10,000 more followers. And it's all healing for us all, isn't it, to talk about it? And you've done an amazing job, and I'm really proud of you. And I love watching the interviews of everyone. Keep it up. We'll be rolling on to the next one.
Thanks very much, mate. I appreciate that. It means a lot from you. I really appreciate that. Top man.
Hopefully,
we'll keep in touch. Keep in touch, Cole.
Sure, well done.
Take it easy, mate, and I'll share you this tomorrow. You can share this all out on your own social media, and obviously a lot more people can see it as well that haven't been able to see it live, so that'd be cool.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Take it easy, buddy.
See you again.
Much appreciated, mate. Take it easy. Top man. Cheers, Carl. Legend. Awesome. Thank you very much, Carl. What a guy. Great guy. Carl Belfield had some great years racing with Carl personally as well in the 90s. Was really cool. Hopefully I'll be able to get some of that footage up soon of the 97 BSMA finals. You had myself, Carl, John Radford, Hamill, Danny Bird. We were all definitely trading some paint, let's say, at Maysmore that weekend. Just looking at some comments. Another cracking interview. Thank you very much, whoever that was. There's no name on that. Top guy is Carl. Yep. Cheers, Ben Vizard. Good job, Lee. Brilliant interview. Awesome, Lee and Carl. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. Just to update you all, I think on the Zeb Tortelli replica bike for the competition, just show you quickly there. Look, that's the bike we got up. As you can see, Zeb. There's only 60. What was that now? About 63 tickets left now for the bike competition. So anyone who wants to get involved in, there it is. Look, the JHK replica 250 Kawasaki. two-stroke, obviously, as you see. You can message me and get involved. If you want to get involved in that, that'd be cool. More information on the reunion. It's going to be called the Motocross and Speedway Memories Reunion. Everyone knows about, obviously, all the BSMA guys, but it will be open to everybody as well. We're talking about having groups for 500, 250, 125, 4 strokes as well, possibly twin shock. Loads of ideas on that. The date will definitely be the 4th and 5th of September. So now we're just basically concentrating on sorting out the track situation. So hopefully I'll have some more news for you guys soon on that. Interviews coming up. If you didn't know already, I've got American icon of motocross and supercross, Mr. Ricky Johnson, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. UK time. Then I've got another massive one for you guys as well. Speedway fans, I've got 4-time world champion Mr. Greg Hancock on Monday night, 7 p.m. UK time. So really looking forward to that as well. And then to keep these BSMA Legends run of interviews going, which seem to be very enjoyable for everyone and myself as well. On Thursday next week, the 11th of March, I've got another massive legend of the BSMA, Mr. Stephen Holmes, another Welsh legend. So looking forward to that one. That'll be really good. And then all I've organised after that so far is on Tuesday, the 16th of March, Kiwi legend himself, Mr. Josh Coppins, 7 p.m. UK time on Tuesday, the 16th of March. That's as far as I've gone with organising interviews, but obviously I'll keep you guys up to date on what happens with that. If you guys could be appreciated if you guys join in the Facebook group, Motocross and Spear Memories, that'd be great. A lot of the stuff goes on in there. It'd be cool if you can come into that. Also, there's a Facebook competitions page, Motocross and Speedway Memories competitions. We're on Twitter as well and Instagram. It'd be cool if you guys get involved. Also, I've got the YouTube channel you could subscribe to for free, and you could see all the hundreds of interviews that are on there from the old days when the guys used to film themselves answering questions I sent to them, like sort of 8-9 months ago, to then the Skype recorded interviews with all the legends that I've spoken to, and then obviously then we went into the live interviews so we can get the fans involved, speaking to their idols, and obviously all your BSMA guys that we're doing now, which is really cool. So you guys can all engage and reminisce about the times. It's been awesome. I know after we've done this bike, we're going to do the Ken Roxon signed GP shirt, which is there. Look, I've got that on me now. There it is. We're going to do that as a competition after we finish this bike. And then after that, I've still got another 2 shirts I need to sort out. So we'll sort that out. We've got Ricky Carmichael's signed shirt here, then Kita Suzuki one there. And then I've also got a Tommy Searle one to sort out yet as well. But the plan is to do the Ken Roxon shirt and the Ricky Carmichael after this bike. So anyone that wants a bike ticket, can get in touch with me, WhatsApp, text, Facebook, whatever social media you want to get in touch with me. And there's just a bit of a video here for you guys to check out about the social medias and stuff. And obviously there's also mxspeedwaymemories.co.uk as well, www.mxspeedwaymemories.co.uk. There's always a countdown there on the front of the website to the next interview, and loads of other stuff on there as well on the actual website that you can check out. And obviously here's the details as well, the bike competition that's running at the minute. We've only 60 odd tickets left at the moment, and then once they're sorted out, we will do the live draw on this feed as well. Goes out to all the platforms, and we have a bit of fun with that draw as well. It's always a bit of a nerve-wracking time drawing the bike, but it's quite cool to have some fun with it as well. So here's the bike competition that we got going as well, I didn't know.
Wait, you want some more?
Nice. Just so you guys know it works. She's a peach. Imagine the winner of that would be quite chuffed, I'd imagine. Thank you, Phil. Ben Vizard, legend, mate. We'll have to get you on one of these days as well with the BSMA ones as well. Be cool. Great interview, Lee. Thanks very much, Carl. Thank you very much, Gary. Yes, definitely keep these BSMA one going. Looking forward to Stephen Holmes next week. He's got a great story as well. Not only was he a massive BSMA legend, he went to go the pros, and then he's got a big story about that as well. So that'd be very interesting to hear all that. Thank you very much, Daniel. Pleasure's all mine to do these. It's great for the mind for all of us, reminiscing and enjoying the memories that we all definitely cherish with our parents and stuff. Couple of nice helmets behind you, mate. Yeah, that's the only two things I've really got for my racing. Got the that's the last one I used. Was a O'Neill one. I got it. Could never afford anything like a shoey or anything like that, or a spray job. So I thought that's as close as I can get to a shoey. I thought it quite looked like a shoey, so I was quite happy with that one. Got the old, used to have the old flashing light on it. I think Glenn Phillips mugged me off for saying, there's can be too much stickers, Lee. But I think my thing was like, even with the you can see here, like with the Troy Lee design things, I think it was anything to do if there was any stone chip or anything at all, then it had to have a sticker on it. Didn't like any stone chips or anything like that. So I think that was my way of thinking as well with the McGrath replica one as well. I had, like I said, couldn't always never afford a spray job or anything like that, like we used to call them back then. Paint job now, is it? Spray job then. I managed to get a brand new peak though, because a friend borrowed my helmet and broke the peak off. So I managed to get a brand new original one, which was really lucky. On the bow there. But I think I did the same thing that got Troy Lee design kits. As soon as there's any little stone chips or anything like that, I would put like the bubbles on there to do any chips or anything like that on the thing as well. So yeah, that's the only two things I got. I think I had that in '97, the bow. I'd always wanted a bow helmet, and I got that one then. A couple of others I really liked. I had a Brieffi Puzar replica. I wish I kept that. I don't know what happened to that. I don't know if I give it to someone on the stuff. That was really nice, what I really liked as well. I wish I'd kept that one. And I had a nice arrow as well, which I'd have kept, but other than that, got nothing now. So other than Brian Jorgensen hooked me up with some of his kit, which was pretty amazing, and wrote all over it as well. So that was really cool. Give me his Fox kit, Fox shirt, and that he won the British Championship with, which was cool, and some other his other gear as well that he won a German GP on, which was amazing. Yeah, I remember Lee Richardson. Yeah, bless him. He had that chrome thing on his helmet. Yes, right, Phil. Yeah, I think Jeremy McGrath started it in, I think it was '97 on the Suzuki. I think it may have been. Yeah, gin o'clock, Ben. I don't need much. That's it for me. I'm already feeling it. I've only had about 10 sips of it. Pathetic, ain't I? Could see me at the reunion just having one lager and watching everyone else get haywire. I'll be sensible-ish. So yeah, so I will be on here tomorrow night. Can't wait then. Ricky Johnson. Woo. Bloody hell. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be the nerves will be flying around for that one. So hopefully everyone can join me tomorrow night, 7 p.m. It's get your drinks, your popcorn and your snacks ready for Ricky Johnson tomorrow night, 7 p.m. UK time. Actually, I did. What if he's... oh no, I did WhatsApp him. He's not come back to that yet, but obviously our times are completely opposite, so I have to be careful when I'm messaging him. Like, I'm probably messaging him like in the middle of the night, obviously their time. Yeah, it is a shame to not Swindon see them racing this year, Phil, because obviously that's 2 years now without the Speedway. I know no one rode last year, but obviously with this year as well, Swindon not competing in the league, even though we were the reigning champions from the season before we last ran. It's a massive shame. Fingers crossed that they actually do build this new parts of the stadium and everything, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they run next season. But yeah, we'll have to see on that. Fingers crossed, that's all we can do. Seems light years away now at the moment, thinking they're just about to start the league, and not until May, I think, in the next couple of months, and then we're not going to be running yet for another season. So it's a very long time. Hopefully, Phil, hopefully they'll come back stronger, hopefully, as you put there. So I will love you and leave you guys. Going to go off and have some tea. And then, fingers crossed, we get the man, bad boy, mad dog, Ricky Johnson on tomorrow night. How cool will that be? Reminiscing with that guy. I've got some mint pictures. Be amazing to get him on. Fingers crossed it all comes off. And we've got some decent internet connection from America. And fingers crossed he comes on and it all goes to plan. So fingers crossed that all goes to plan. So I will leave you with my dad's quote, bless him, that he always used to tell me near the end for him. He always said, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. So we'll leave on that one. Ciao bella, people. Good night and God bless all. See you all soon. Hopefully I'll see you guys join me tomorrow evening for Ricky Johnson. Can't wait for that. Cheers, people. I'll share this tomorrow. Ciao bella.